Chapter 213. When his eyes met Nangong Ko-er's, Jiang Xiu felt even hotter. Nangong Ko-er smiled at him. What a stingy and annoying boy. Seeing that he was looking at her rudely, Nangong Ko-er glared at him fiercely. She didn't know that her face was like a peach blossom, and her eyes were watery. Her gaze was extremely seductive. "What are you looking at?" Jiang Xiu said. "If you don't look at me, how do you know that I'm looking at you?" Nangong Ko-er held back her laughter. Childish. At this time, they arrived at the changing room. The men were on the left, and the women were on the right. Chang Ling-su turned on the shower, and the warm water flowed down. Nangong Ko-er was in the shower, and Jiang Xiu's face kept flashing through her mind. When she thought about how he used a ball to hit her private parts, the strange feeling in her heart became even stronger. Why do I keep thinking about him? Her heart was beating very fast, and her face was burning. Nangong Ko-er was shocked by this feeling, and she quickly turned down the water temperature to make her mind clearer. A strange dark red color slowly appeared on her snow-white skin. Her mind started to sway even more. What's going on? Nangong Ko-er felt that her breathing was very fast, and she was a little out of control. She quickly finished her shower and ran out. After her shower, Nangong Ko-er looked clean and fresh, but her hair was still wet, her face was pink, and her lips were red. When she came out, she found that Jiang Xiu had finished his shower before her, and was already sitting in the suite. "You're so fast." Jiang Xiu was drinking water, and he nodded. When he was showering, he felt that his body was very hot, and he was very impulsive. Especially when the rain fell on his body, it stimulated his skin nerves. Where are they? They should be in the lobby. After Jiang Xiu finished his water monkey, he went to open the door. He was going to go out, but he found that the door was locked. He pulled it a few times. "Why can't I open the door?" "Let me try." Nangong Ko-er came closer, and as she came closer, he smelled a charming fragrance. Her wet hair was hanging on Jiang Xiu's cheek. I really can't open it." A voice came from outside. It sounded like Jiang Zhan. "Stop pulling. The door is locked. You two stay inside and enjoy this wonderful time." What was the meaning of this? There were only two people, a man and a woman, and they even locked the door. This hotel-style suite was already a little seductive, and they still had to do this? Nangong Ko-er said, "Jiang Zhan, stop messing around. This isn't a joke." Jiang Zhan said, "I'm not kidding with you. It's just a matter of time. You don't know who he is, right? Then let me introduce him to you. Ko-er, the arrogant man next to you is Jiang Xiu, the man who was expelled by Grandpa and was engaged to you." "What?" Nangong Ko-er turned her head and looked at Jiang Xiu in confusion. "You are Jiang Xiu, aren't you that guy?" "That's not right." "Isn't Jiang Xiu that fatty?" Well, you lied to me." Jiang Xiu ignored her, knocked on the door, and said in a cold voice, "Open the door." Nangong Ko-er stared at Jiang Xiu. She felt that her feelings were deeply hurt by Jiang Xiu. "I treated you as my friend, but you lied to me. You didn't care whether you were still locked in the room or not. I found that you are really a bad person. You knew who I was, so why didn't you tell me clearly? You even pointed to a fat and ugly classmate to disgust me." "You can't say that about her. My classmate is quite talented. I really admire this guy." "So, I'm still wrong. I'm shallow, and I judge people by their appearance?" Nangong Ko-er was really angry. She had a good impression of Jiang Xiu. She thought that he was quite honest, although he was a bit radical. But she didn't expect that he was such a despicable person. "You can't belittle yourself like that. So you don't like me? You don't like me? It's me who doesn't like you." Nangong Ko-er said, "Our marriage is just a political marriage. It doesn't matter if you don't like me or not." Jiang Xiu could tell that she was really angry, so he explained, "I didn't mean that. Look at you. You are as beautiful as a flower. You have the appearance of a devil and the body of an angel." He accidentally said the wrong thing, so he quickly corrected himself, "No, it's the appearance of an angel and the body of a devil." Nangong Ko didn't accept this hypocritical compliment at all. She had seen through this person, so she said, "Come on, you're just a duck with a mouth of half a caddy." Jiang Xiu's face was full of anger. "Who are you calling a duck?" Even though Nangong Ko was really angry, she couldn't help but want to laugh. She just said it casually, and she really didn't mean it that way. But this guy actually took it for granted. Who could he blame? "Please don't humiliate a duck," Jiang Xiu said with a sad face. "Don't insult me like that." Nangong Ko said, "You deserve it. I've never seen anyone more annoying than you." Jiang Xiu said, "Well, Nangong Ko, I didn't do it properly. Although I hid my identity at that time, it was to avoid embarrassing us. Also, what I said at school was true. You don't have to marry me. You can marry whoever you like in the future. I, Jiang Xiu, will definitely do what I said." Nangong Ko looked at him suspiciously. "Really? Can you withstand the pressure from the Jiang family?" Jiang Xiu smiled faintly. "The Jiang family? Is there any pressure? They're just a bunch of useless people." Nangong Ko couldn't help but want to roll her eyes. It was the Jiang family, and old Master Jiang was famous for being rude and unreasonable, so she said, "You really know how to brag. You said you were so powerful, but you're still locked in this room and can't get out." Speaking of this matter, Jiang Xiu really felt that it was very childish. How could they lock them up in the same room? Is this useful? If they make us angry, we'll just kick the door open. "Hey, do you feel hot?" "It's quite hot." Jiang Xiu's eyes became hot, and their eyes met again. This time, a kind of primitive desire touched their hot nerves. In this enclosed room, it was very easy for a man and a woman to misbehave. Gulp. Someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Jiang Xiu stared at Nangong Ko's face passionately. At this moment, Nangong Ko's face became even more charming, while her eyes became hazy. When she looked at Jiang Xiu's face, she discovered that his face was as firm as marble, and she couldn't help but reach out to caress it. Jiang Xiu was a little nervous. "What's wrong with you?" I'm fine," Jiang Xiu said in his heart. "If you touch my face, then I'll touch it back." So, he reached out his hand. Nangong Ko was so nervous that she almost suffocated, and she couldn't help but close her eyes. When she felt Jiang Xiu's fingers gently caressing her face, she couldn't help but tremble and fall. Jiang Xiu had already reached out to support her. Her hair brushed past Jiang Xiu's face, making it itchy. He said, "I'll ask them to open the door." "No." Nangong Ko said, I feel like I'm floating." She didn't float at all. Instead, she stood on her tiptoes and kissed Jiang Xiu with her red lips. "Then, you want to be a hooligan?" When it comes to hooliganism, our spiritual cultivation has never been afraid of anyone. If you kiss me, I'll kiss you back 10 times or 100 times. Our spiritual cultivation has always been so cruel. We can't. Yes, we can't. Jiang Xiu said in his heart. Why don't you say no to me? Why do you keep flirting with me? We can't do this. I'm not a good girl. When the golden wind and the jade dew met, it was better than countless people in the world. At this moment, Jiang Zhan was eavesdropping outside the room. At first, he thought that Nangong Ko was playing tricks, but later, he had no choice but to believe her. It was so real that he couldn't help but believe her. He had been eavesdropping outside the room for half an hour. Even if she was faking it, she didn't need to act so real. He snapped his fingers. It shouldn't be a problem for me to ask for a Ferrari, right? Jiang Zhan went to report the good news happily. At this time, in the manor where the Jiang family lived, Grandpa Jiang and many other members of the Jiang family were greeting Jiang Yi and his wife on the surface, but in fact, they were waiting for the result. Seeing Jiang Zhan come back and make an okay gesture, Grandpa Jiang was overjoyed and suddenly laughed out loud. Now that the rice had become porridge, he wanted to see whether Jiang Yi's family would be responsible for it or not. Chapter 214. When Nangong Ko woke up, she was lying in Jiang Yuning's warm arms on the bed in the suite. The sunset glow seeped in through the cracks in the window, leaving a long and narrow band of light on the messy bed. She sat up abruptly in fright, but the quilt slipped off and she saw Jiang Yuning looking at her blankly and in shock. She hurriedly grabbed the quilt to cover her body, then bit her plump lips shyly and angrily. Suddenly, she reached out her hand and slapped Zhang Xiu hard in the face. "You pervert! You've ruined my life!" Zhang Xiu covered his face with his hands, looking very innocent. After slapping him, Nangong Ko stared at Zhang Xiu. She didn't expect that her virginity would be taken away by him like this. Her eyes gradually turned red, and tears welled up in her eyes. She felt wronged, helpless, and resentful. She clearly remembered everything that had happened, even the details. At that time, she was in a daze and couldn't control herself, and it seemed that she was the one who took the initiative. After holding it in for a while, Zhang Xiu finally said something that made people not know whether to laugh or cry. "I've really become a duck now." Nangong Ko wasn't in the mood to joke with him at this time. She also knew that it had nothing to do with Zhang Xiu this time. She and Zhang Xiu were locked in the suite, and they had sex in a daze. This was definitely premeditated. There must be something wrong with the bottle of water, and she and Zhang Xiu were both drugged. However, what had happened, and her virginity had been ruined by Zhang Xiu. According to normal logic, Nangong Ko's virginity had been ruined by Zhang Xiu before Yuning got married, so he had to take responsibility for it. If Nangong Ko wanted to get married, Zhang Xiu had to marry her. However, it was really difficult to do this, because Zhang Xiu was already married. After a long while, Zhang Xiu said, I already have a wife." Hearing that, Nangong Ko's pretty face froze a bit, then she laughed. "Are you worried that I'll ask you to take responsibility and marry me? Zhang Xiu, right? Do you know what my biggest wish is in this life? Please don't overthink it." As she said that, she got up and tidied herself up. She felt a burning pain in her private part, and there were a lot of red spots on her white clothes. The red spots were not emotionless, and they turned into spring mud to protect her. She went into the bathroom again, and when the water from the shower came down, her mind was full of the scene that had just happened. She felt shy and that strange feeling, which made her feel helpless and desperate. What worried her more was that she didn't know if she would get pregnant because of this. When she came out, she was drying her wet hair. She had taken 2 showers before the sky turned dark, and then she saw Zhang Xiu sitting neatly in his seat. "Why haven't you left yet?" Zhang Xiu said, "According to an anonymous organization, a girl's body and mind will change a lot after her first time, and she will be anxious." "Ha, ha," Nangong Ko smiled. "No, it won't happen. It will happen every time. If it's not with you, it will be with someone else. Judging from your cold personality, you don't seem to care about girls. You didn't stay here on purpose, did you? Do you want to pay me for your labor?" Zhang Xiu said, "Labor?" This girl really dared to say such things. Knock, knock, knock. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door, and then the door was opened from the outside. Zhang Zhan was standing at the door with a smile. "You two must have a good day today. That's enough. There will be plenty of time in the future, and the old master is waiting to see you. Also, the dinner party is about to start." Nangong Ko's pretty face blushed, and she tucked her hair behind her ear unnaturally, revealing her earlobe. Her earlobe was turning red at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. This was really embarrassing, and she couldn't help but hate the Zhang family's despicable methods. "Let's go." Zhang Xiu walked out, but Zhang Zhan stopped him and pointed at his neck. There was a mirror on the side, and Zhang Xiu took a look at it. Nangong Ko almost collapsed, and she covered her face with her hands, leaving a purple lipstick mark on Zhang Xiu's neck. "Miss Ko is really cruel." Zhang Xiu pulled up his collar to cover it. When he walked out of the tennis club, it was already dusk. He remembered that it wasn't lunchtime when he was playing tennis, but now it was almost lunchtime. It had been a whole afternoon. "He's back. Zhang Xiu is back. The yard was suddenly noisy. When he walked in, all the people present looked at him strangely, and some girls even covered their mouths and laughed. Well, everyone is back. Let's sit down. There were many people in the Zhang family, and several tables were set up. Those who could sit at the same table with Grandpa Zhang were the most important figures in the Zhang family. According to the rules of the Zhang family, Zhang Xiu, as the third generation of the Zhang family, was not qualified to sit at the same table, but this year, Grandpa Zhang made an exception. Grandpa Zhang said confidently, "Minor repairs, what do you want to say now? What are you going to do about the thing between you and Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling were a little embarrassed. Zhang Xiu said, "What do you mean by that?" Grandpa Zhang said, "You stayed in the room with for the whole afternoon. Don't tell me that nothing happened. As a man, you should take responsibility for what you did. Now you have only one choice, which is to go back and divorce that little girl surnamed Cheng, and marry This old man's tone and momentum were completely different from that of the day. He was commanding Zhang Xiu in a condescending tone. Zhang Xiu said, "You guys were the ones who arranged this from the beginning to the end. You drugged the water I drank." Grandpa Zhang said, "It doesn't matter whether you drugged her or she was willing to do it. It happened. Nangong is not an ordinary girl. She is also a good girl. Don't try to shirk your responsibility." Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling were anxious and didn't know what to do. Although they were angry, they really didn't know how to deal with this kind of thing. Grandpa Zhang continued, "If you marry Nangong I will let your parents go back to the Zhang family. Then our family will be reunited. At that time, 3 generations will live in the same room, and you will be happy to marry the daughter of a rich family. What's wrong with that?" Zhang Xiu laughed heartily. He laughed for more than a minute without stopping. Everyone present frowned and looked at him. "Why are you laughing?" Zhang Xiu said, 12 years ago, when my father committed a crime, you didn't help him and let him go to jail. Then our family was broken up. My wife lost her husband, and my son lost his father. At that time, have you ever thought that 3 generations would live in the same room and be reunited?" Grandpa Zhang's face darkened. Zhang Xiu continued, 6 months ago, I avenged my father in Ninghai and killed the people of the Tang family. At that time, Tang Zhengping wanted to execute me because of Ninghai. My father called and begged for mercy. At that time, have you ever thought that 3 generations would live in the same room and be reunited? Why do you remember it now? Grandpa Zhang's face darkened, and the atmosphere in the room suddenly froze. Let me tell you why you remembered. It's because your Zhang family offended someone and met a really strong enemy. You directed a trick of the proud prince coming to Jiangnan. You thought you were the king of the world, but you acted like a jumping clown. As a result, all the influential people in Jiangnan who relied on your Zhang family were slaughtered overnight, which caused unrest in the authorities of Jiangnan and made many people dissatisfied with your Zhang family. Your position has almost been stripped clean. It's a heinous crime. Zhang Yishan, you are finished. Your Zhang family is also finished. Zhang Xiu's words were like needles stabbing into Grandpa Zhang's chest. Some members of the Zhang family who still didn't understand the situation on the sidelines were all shocked. Grandpa Zhang trembled all over, and Zhang Chong, Zhang Hao, and the other brothers also looked livid. Zhang Xiu didn't care about their expressions at all. So, your Zhang family really needs the support of the increasingly important Nangong family. In other words, you need me to save your Zhang family. Zhang Yishan, am I right? Grandpa Zhang glared at Zhang Xiu angrily. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Zhang Xiu said. Do you think I will agree? At this moment, Grandpa Zhang and all the members of the Zhang family looked at Zhang Xiu. In their eyes, there was a little bit of hope in addition to anger. Seeing this, Zhang Xiu laughed again and asked, Do you think I will? Do you think I will? Do you think my parents will? Because you know that they are too soft-hearted. They are not like you, who can even hurt your own children. He shouted, Bring him in. A man was brought in from outside the door. Chapter 2:15. Everyone was very surprised. What was going on? Why did they bring him in? It looked like they were going to settle the score with the Jiang family. Did the Jiang family owe them? The man was pushed in and fell to the ground. When he looked up, he saw a bruised and swollen face. The Jiang family members present all recognized him. He was Jiang Hao's driver, Master Fu. Jiang Hao stood up from his seat and pointed at the driver angrily. Jiang Xiu, what do you mean by this? However, thinking about what happened yesterday, Jiang Hao seemed to be a little scared. Jiang Xiu said, "Don't you know what I mean?" After the incident yesterday, the driver who caused the accident drove away. Jiang Xiu asked the Wang family members to catch him overnight. This guy was too calm. After killing someone, he returned home as if nothing had happened. He ate and slept as usual. It could be seen that he had done such things often. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so calm. Jiang Hao said, "I don't know what you're talking about. Let me tell you, kid. Hurry up and let him go. Although Master Fu is my driver, you can't act recklessly." Jiang Xiu said, "Jiang Hao, now that things have come to this, do you think you can still hide it?" The driver raised his head and looked at Jiang Hao. Jiang Hao knew what was going on and glared at him fiercely. The driver was scared out of his wits. He cried and shouted, I was forced. Jiang Hao's expression became very ugly. "Jiang Xiu, what did you do to him?" Jiang Xiu said, "What did I do to him?" Ha 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 ha. The laughter stopped abruptly. Jiang Xiu's voice became cold and contained a terrifying anger. "Just yesterday afternoon, this person drove a car and wanted to kill my in-laws." Wow. The people present couldn't help but exclaim softly. Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling's expressions changed greatly. Cheng Hanlin's accident yesterday wasn't an accident, but a murder? Don't slander us. That's right. Why would second brother order Master Fu to hit your in-laws all of a sudden? Even Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling were puzzled. Jiang Xiu said, "Because he wanted to silence them. 12 years ago, you, Jiang Hao, no. To be exact, you, old Master Jiang, couldn't stand my father's continuous progress in his official career with his own efforts and ability after leaving the Jiang family. You thought it was a disgrace and a challenge to your authority in the Jiang family. You wanted to sue everyone and tell them that leaving the Jiang family wouldn't have a good ending. So, you madly asked Jiang Hao to go to Jiang City, forced my father's best friend, framed my father, and finally destroyed him." Jiang Yi's brain was about to explode. He turned his head to look at Old Master Jiang in disbelief. Old Master Jiang's eyes were so wide that they almost fell out and were covered with blood. Jiang Yi asked, "Is it true? Let me ask you, is what you said about the minor repairs true?" In the end, his voice was almost roaring. Old Master Jiang said coldly, "What's with your attitude? How can you talk to your father like this?" Jiang Yi's eyes were bloodshot and he said, "Let me ask you, is it true or not?" Old Master Jiang said, "So what? I just want to teach you a lesson. What's wrong with a father teaching his son a lesson?" Silent tears flowed from Jiang Yi's eyes. No, those tears were red, blood, tears of blood. Lin Yueling was shocked, and the people present sighed. A father teaching his son a lesson? Is this a father teaching his son a lesson? Back then, we had already broken off our relationship. You want to take revenge on me? You are my enemy, the enemy who harmed me. Old Master Jiang said, "Humph, so what? No one who betrays the Jiang family has a good ending." Jiang Yi looked at the man in front of him and felt that he was extremely terrible. The man in front of him was so cold-blooded and ruthless that it made his hair stand on end. Ha ha ha! He laughed out loud. His laughter was so sad and bitter. It was ridiculous that he still had hope for this person and this family. It was actually this person who had caused him to go to prison for 10 years, caused his wife to lose her husband, caused his child to lose his father, and suffered the cold treatment of the outside world and suffered the contempt of time. The anger of revenge rose in his heart. Lin Yueling's eyes were also burning with hatred, and she roared angrily, "You devil!" Old Master Zhang's whole body trembled as he said, "So what? My Zhang family is indeed in a bit of trouble now, but if I want to deal with you, it will be as easy as crushing an ant. Your whole family will be mine. Your son must marry Nangong Ko, or your whole family will go to hell." Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling looked at him angrily, but they couldn't express their fear in words. The Zhang family was like a giant, and they couldn't bear it even if they moved a finger, just like 12 years ago. You are still as stupid as the year before. You refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Zhang Xiu shook his head with a smile. Do you think that my family will be manipulated by you? Stop dreaming. I won't divorce Cheng Lingsu, and I won't marry Nangong Ko. Even if I really marry Nangong Ko, the condition is that the Nangong family will deal with your Zhang family. Zhang Yishan, wake up. You are finished. Old Master Zhang stared at Zhang Xiu with his tiger-like eyes without blinking. A terrifying smile rose from the corners of his mouth. Ignorant boy, do you think my Zhang family is as simple as you think? Do you think it will be so easy to destroy? Let me tell you, it is impossible for my Zhang family to be destroyed. Old Master Zhang glanced at his descendants in an imposing manner. My Zhang family has been in the capital for 50 years, and we have been through so many difficulties. How many powerful enemies have we faced? How many times have we been attacked? How many times have we been defeated? At this moment, a man ran in and said, "Old Master, there is a guest from the Ji family." Ha ha ha. Old Master Zhang laughed. Let him in. The man left in a hurry. Old Master Zhang glanced at Zhang Xiu's family and said, "I will show you the real foundation of my Zhang family. Then you can think about whether you will resist or obey." Humph. A group of people walked in from outside the courtyard. The leader was an old man in his 70s with white hair and a youthful face. The disciples behind him were all experts. Duke Ruowen, I am sorry to disturb you. Excuse me for not going out to meet you. Old Master Zhang imitated the way people of the martial world would greet them. He kept cupping his hands, but his manner and actions were neither fish nor fowl. It was ridiculous. Old Master Zhang, long time no see. Please take a seat. Duke Ruowen said, "There is no need for that. The full moon has risen and the appointed time has arrived. My master is already at Donglu Mountain, Sunset Peak." However, Old Master Zhang seems to have some family matters that he has yet to deal with. He saw a person tied up and thrown on the ground. His face was also bruised. Old Master Zhang sneered. "Just a small matter and you gave birth to an unfilial son. He refused to obey my Zhang family's discipline and even said that my Zhang family will be destroyed. What a joke." Duke Ruowen said, "With my Ji family here, who can destroy the Zhang family?" The Zhang family's disciples were all shocked. Old Master Zhang nodded repeatedly with a proud look on his face. He turned to look at Zhang Xiu who was sitting in his seat and said, "Did you hear what Duke Wen said? Ignorant fool. Being obedient is the smart thing to do." At this moment, there was an old man wearing a white robe sitting on top of Donglu Mountain's Sunset Peak. He leaned against a rock and looked up at the full moon in the sky. He was actually very relaxed. The moonlight scattered on his body and gave off a faint feeling of gathering without dissipating. It was as if there was a layer of soft light covering him, making him seem very dreamy. At the foot of the mountain, martial cultivators from all over China had flocked over. They wanted to witness the battle between the demigods. The martial arts forum was in an uproar. The full moon in the sky was rising higher and higher. Time passed by slowly. They looked at the famous demigod on Sunset Peak from afar. They felt that he was unattainable. At the entrance of the mountain, Cheng Lingsu and her 3 roommates followed Song Ronghao here. Su Su was supposed to be taking care of Cheng Hanlin in the hospital. However, ever since she found out that her father was harmed by the Zhang family and Zhang Xiu was going to fight with the Zhang family, she wanted to come no matter what. Oh my God, why do I feel that everyone here has an extraordinary aura? They all seemed to have a great background. There were also experts from the Song family who came with Song Ronghao. The Song family had a lot of wealth. Of course, they had to have a corresponding force to protect them. However, they hired many advisors. Of course, everyone here today is a big shot. Chapter 216. Miao Xiaolin and Xiao Fongfong's eyes lit up as they listened. They were not interested in the battle between demigods. They were mainly here to accompany Chang Lingsu. Now that they saw so many big shots, they couldn't help but want to hook up with a rich husband. The guards along the way were stricter than usual. A man in black stopped them. "Your passes." Song Ronghao took out his pass with a proud look on his face. This pass was so hard to get that it made people speechless. If not for the Song clan's title as the richest family in Shanghai City, they wouldn't have been able to get it. The man in black checked it and said, "Your pass can only allow you to pass through 3 checkpoints. I can't really go up to the bottom of the fallen mountain." Song Ronghao's face revealed an awkward expression. He had already tried his best. This was the closest pass he could get. He explained, "The battle between demigods is too powerful. If we get too close, we will be injured accidentally." The naive Chang Lingsu nodded. To her, as long as she could see Jiang Xiu fight with someone, she would know the result of the battle. Walking up the mountain path, the entire Donglu mountain was filled with people. Many of the cultivators found seats that were difficult to reach. Some stood at the top of the mountain, while others stood at the top of the cliff. They were all dignified, their eyes shining. "Damn, that person must be crazy. He's standing on such a thin branch. Isn't he afraid of falling to his death?" Miao Xiaolin saw a person sitting on a towering tree. It was a branch that was only as thick as an arm. There was a cliff just outside. "Ha ha ha!" That person laughed out loud. How could a martial cultivator fall from a mere tree branch? What a joke! Miao Xiaolin and Xiao Fongfong were both shocked. They were dozens of meters away from that person, and yet they were still heard. Moreover, that person's voice sounded as if it was right next to their ears. They couldn't help but look at each other. This scene was like a scene from a martial arts world on TV. Cheng Lingsu had seen Jiang Xiu's abilities. It was even more terrifying than this. "Sorry for the lack of manners." The Song family's advisor cupped his hands and apologized politely to that person. Then he said to the girls, "Don't talk nonsense, lest you get into trouble." Miao Xiaolin and Xiao Fongfong shut their mouths in embarrassment. But after walking for a while, he couldn't help but speak again. In the distance, he saw a child who was only 5 or 6 years old. "Damn, are these adults crazy? I brought my friends here to watch such a bloody showdown." The advisor shook his head helplessly and said, "Battles between demigods have been rare since World War II. It could even be said that they have never happened again. Demigods are in charge of a region and rule over the world. They each have their own so-called territory and do not easily cause disputes. Only the rise of Zhang Luoxia, a new demigod, can stir up the world. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How can you miss it? Moreover, the insights you gain from watching a battle between demigods are enough for you to cultivate at home for 3 years." Miao Xiaolin's face was filled with disdain when she heard this. Why hasn't Zhang Luoxia come yet? Could it be that he's really scared? Someone looked up at the full moon. Didn't they say that he's already in the capital? Cheng Lingsu looked up and saw the half-real figure on the mountain. She guessed that it should be Jiang Xiu's opponent, the Jiang family support, Ji Wudao. So powerful. The moonlight seemed to gather on his body. Looking at her, Cheng Lingsu had a feeling that this person should be in the heavens and not in the mortal world. Was Jiang Xiu really scared? Zhang Luoxia probably came to the capital to transfer abroad. Ha ha ha. 10 minutes, half an hour, an hour. Time passed little by little, and the night grew darker. Many people came in the day and waited until dusk, evening, and now it was nighttime. Is that Zhang Luoxia coming or not? I'm dying from waiting. Miao Xiaolin began to complain. It was a perfectly good mid-autumn night. If she foolishly stood in the mountain wind for an entire night, her feelings would be greatly hurt. Countless martial artists looked at her. It felt like she was being despised by people in the library. She awkwardly shut her mouth. In the courtyard of the Zhang residence, old Master Zhang's aura was astonishing. He looked at Zhang Xiu and his son with a gaze that seemed to want to completely crush them to death. It was as if those who submitted to him would prosper, and those who opposed him would perish. It had to be said that Master Zhang had been in a high position for a long time. His aura was truly terrifying. The Zhang family's disciples at the side were all trembling in fear. He abruptly turned and pointed a finger at the mountain peak. His finger was pointed in the direction of Ji Wudao, who had been condensed by the moonlight. Ignorant child, do you see old immortal Ji at the foot of Sunset Peak? Dio Yutai has been wanting to touch me for a long time, but do you know why they haven't done anything yet? Even when such a big thing happened in Jiangnan, they only dared to remove a portion of my authority. That's because they have to consider whether they can withstand old immortal Ji's wrath if they offend my Zhang family. These words were overbearing and arrogant, but it was the truth. The change of dynasties was inevitable. Ji Wudao was an earth immortal for 500 years, starting from the Ming dynasty, then the Qing dynasty, warlords, the Republic of China, and now, the imperial power was nothing in front of him. In the immortal martial continent, the sects were also above the imperial power. Master Zhang had already raised his aura. He looked like he was going to kill anyone who stood in his way. The Ji family's disciples at the side were also arrogant. They were all proud of being a disciple of the Ji family. Ruowen gently stroked his beard and said calmly, "It's already past 9 o'clock. Zhang Luoxia hasn't appeared for a long time. I'm afraid it's like what the outside world said. He's afraid of my master's power and fled." A disciple at the side said, "It's been said in the martial arts world that Zhang Luoxia wouldn't dare to fight head-on with Grandmaster. In front of such a huge difference in power, even someone as arrogant as Zhang Luoxia was forced to flee. The opponent fled because he was afraid of Grandmaster's prestige." A disciple at the side was so excited that his whole body trembled. He couldn't help but shout, "Grandmaster is mighty." The other disciples also echoed, "Grandmaster is mighty. Grandmaster is mighty." Their voices spread far and wide in the night, echoing in the mountains of the east. Countless martial artists were shocked. It seemed like Zhang Luoxia didn't have the guts to appear in this battle. They looked at Ji Wudao at the foot of the Sunset Peak and couldn't calm down for a long time. Ji Wudao's reputation had risen to the peak. In the future, no one in China would dare to face him head-on. In fact, in the dark, there were a few important members of the fishing platform who were also watching. They shook their heads. If Ji Wudao didn't fall, they would have to reconsider if they wanted to touch Zhang Yishan. They couldn't help but shake their heads in disappointment. Ha ha ha. Grandpa Zhang laughed loudly. His eyes were filled with ferocity. "You want to topple my Zhang Yishan? It's still too early for you to do that. Kid, what are you going to do now?" Zhang Xiu said calmly, "Even if I'm willing to return to your Zhang family, your son Zhang Chong will definitely not agree. Your son Zhang Rong will definitely not agree. Even you won't be willing." Master Zhang said, "Nonsense. In this Zhang family, I have the final say." Zhang Xiu said, "Are you really willing? Bring him up." A person was pressed up. That person shouted in horror, "Dad, save me, save me." Everyone looked over and saw Zhang Zhan kneeling on the ground. Behind him stood a cold gun, staring at the back of Zhang Zhan's head. He trembled in fear. "Dad!" Zhang Hao was shocked. "Son! Dad!" Master Zhang was furious. "How dare you? You just held my grandson hostage. What do you want to do?" Zhang Xiu's expression was cold and undying. He said, "What do I want to do, Zhang Hao? What do you think I want to do? Do you think that I'll let this matter go just like that after bumping into someone?" Click. The sound of a gun bolt. "No!" Zhang Hao screamed in horror. Bang! The bullet pierced through his head. Zhang Zhan fell into a pool of blood. You! Master Zhang's eyes almost popped out. This time, it was really irreversible. His grandson was killed in public. The other members of the Zhang family would never accept Zhang Xiu again. Zhang Xiu sneered. Now, are you still willing to accept my family? Humph. Don't dream about it. Looking at the confused Master Zhang, Zhang Xiu's eyes were like lightning. Do you know who broke Zhang Hang's limbs? It was me. Do you know who killed Zhang Ao? It was me who told you. Do you know why your Zhang family fell into this situation? It was me who told you. What? How did you? Zhang Xiu's pupils opened like liquid, and his eyes turned dark. The outline of his eyes slowly changed, and his black hair grew out at a speed visible to the naked eye. Are you surprised? Are you shocked? As he spoke, Zhang Xiu stepped into the air, and under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, he soared into the air and actually flew towards the falling peak. I am Zhang. Luo Feng. Luo Feng. Someone in the distance exclaimed, Look, Zhang Luoxia is coming. My God, he is flying in the air. Chapter 217. When Jiang Yishan saw Zhang Xiu step on the void and soar into the sky like a god flying towards Dawnfall Peak, his eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Boom! His entire brain exploded as he screamed madly in his heart. How was this possible? As for the other members of the Zhang clan, they were shocked and stupefied. They were so shocked that they couldn't be any more shocked. Zhang Xiu is Zhang Luoxia? Zhang Luoxia, who destroyed the Jin family, took over the Jin group, crippled Zhang Hang, killed Zhang Ao and Zhang Zhan, and forced the Zhang family to the brink of collapse, was his abandoned grandson. And he was a famous demigod who ranked 11th on the divine roll in China. Exploding, completely exploding. What? What? How could a kid who was forced by his father to sell fruits on the side of the road grow up to be able to shake the Zhang family? Even Zhang Yi and Lin Yueling were stunned when they saw Zhang Xiu fly to the sky. They only knew that Zhang Xiu had a master and learned martial arts, but they didn't expect him to reach such a level, as if a god had descended to the world. Zhang Yi, my son, my son. Lin Yueling covered her mouth and tears flowed down her cheeks uncontrollably. Minor repairs. Zhang Yi was also thrilled and his body trembled. Both of them were thrilled. Their son was so promising that it was beyond their imagination. He was so promising that he could shake the world. Whoosh! Between the mountain peaks, the figure was like a great rock soaring into the 9 heavens against the wind. He flew past the cliffs and valleys, straight up the sunset peak, and suppressed the eastern foot of the mountain. Zhang Xiu stepped on this world, his jet black and dense hair fluttered like flames, his pitch-black eyes flashed with divine light, his facial features were deep and perfect as if they were carved out by a ghost. His skin was sparkling and translucent like white jade. His entire body revealed an evil handsomeness that was enough to make others lose themselves, and his figure seemed as if it was made from gold. There wasn't a single spot on his body that wasn't perfect, and it was as if an ancient god had descended. It was as if he should not exist in this world. Zhang Luoxia is here. He's coming. At this moment, Donglu Mountain exploded, shattering the rumors of Zhang Luoxia leaving the martial arts world due to fear. At the same time, the martial arts forum exploded on the spot. Countless people took photos of Zhang Luoxia's appearance and posted them on the forum. My heavens! Miao Xiaolin and Xiao Fongfong were stunned. This person can fly. Is he filming a movie? Cheng Lingsu's heart suddenly surged. She nervously clenched her small fists, and her breathing became rapid. Her expression was both excited and worried. You still came. Before this, she had always been in a dilemma. She hoped that Zhang Xiu would come, but she also hoped that Zhang Xiu wouldn't come. But in the end, he still came. Zhang Luoxia. Why does he look a little familiar? Song Ronghao said. Su, Don't you think that this person looks a little like Zhang Xiu? Although Zhang Xiu was deified, his overall appearance was still Zhang Xiu. However, it was as if one person did not have special effects, while the other person had special effects. Descend from the heavens and cleanse the 9 mysteries, 1,000 years of hard work. At this moment, the old man lying on the rock finally stood up slowly. He had a head of silver hair. His silver hair was different from the old man's. It was thick and shone. His face was no different from a young man's. If it was not for his age that made people think that he was an old man, it would be hard to associate him with an old man. He was tall and sturdy, dressed in snow-white clothes, and barefoot. It was Ji Wudao. His voice sounded as if it came from the horizon. His mouth did not move, but it was like thunder. Zhang Luoxia, you're finally here. I thought you were scared and ran away. Zhang Xiu said, Ran away? You're not qualified. As he spoke, he took a step forward. Boom, the rock under his feet cracked. The entire Sunset Peak seemed like it was going to collapse. The cracks extended towards Ji Wudao. Zhang Xiu had already flown over. Boom! With a loud sound, Ji Wudao moved in the air. The rock under his feet exploded, and countless small rocks shot towards Zhang Xiu. Zhang Luoxia, ranked 11th on the demigod ranking. Let me see what you're capable of. At the same time, he had already flown over. Around his body, smoke filled the air. His entire person became illusory. Zhang Xiu suddenly struck out with his fist. Bang! A loud bang resounded as strong winds swept out, causing the surrounding grass on Dawnfall Peak to be uprooted. His fist hadn't even arrived, yet the force of his punch had already arrived, causing all the rocks that were flying towards him to be transformed into powder. The strong wind stopped, and the dancing grass and rocks fell to the ground. Not bad, not bad. Ji Wudao smiled and flew towards Zhang Xiu. Behind him, white smoke filled the air. His entire person was as light as a feather. It was as if he was in a dream, and he arrived in an instant. As expected of a god. This was the mark of a god. His body could undergo some transmaterial changes as he wished. For example, he could turn his hands into rocks, or turn his body into smoke like he did. You can actually tell that I'm a god? Ji Wudao was shocked. Since you guessed that I might be a god, you actually dared to come. I admire your courage. Seeing that your talent is extraordinary, I can make an exception and spare your life. How about becoming my disciple? Zhang Xiu's expression was cold. How can a useless person like you be worthy of being Zhang Luoxia's master? A mere little god was not even worthy of carrying his master's shoes. Impudent. Ji Wudao's smile disappeared, and his gaze was cold. Since you don't know how to appreciate my kindness, I will kill you today to shock the world. When he finished speaking, the white smoke behind him seemed to condense into cloud wings. He directly flew over, joined his hands, and attacked fiercely. Rumble, rumble. A vast power surged out from his hands, accompanied by terrifying sound waves. The invisible power in the void was affected. It was really unbelievably powerful. This attack was enough to shatter a mountain peak. Break. Zhang Xiu could only use the spells and battle techniques that he had accumulated for 3,000 years to make up for the difference in power. His fingers changed into various strange hand seals, and he drew a line across the air. Light flashed on his fingers. Instead of retreating, he advanced. His whole body was pulled forward by the hand seals on his fingers. Suddenly, his finger drew a line across, and it was hard to describe. One could only see a ray of light remaining in his vision. A shadow divides the world. Like a knife cutting through a falling piece of paper, that surging power was instantly separated from the middle, and was cut into 2 halves. It rushed past Zhang Xiu from left and right. Whistling sounds filled the air around him. Ji Wudao revealed a look of surprise. He had already made his second move. He turned it into a heavy fist and attacked. In the dark night, only the shadow of the fist could be seen. It had already crossed the invisible void, and even the air seemed to be compressed and penetrated. At that moment, it felt like a bullet had shot into water. He was indeed an old monster who had lived for more than 500 years. The power of the move just now was too scattered, and Zhang Xiu broke it with a strange method. Therefore, he changed it into a heavy fist that condensed power. If Zhang Xiu used the move just now, he would definitely die on the spot. The power of a god had an overwhelming advantage over the power of a demigod. Not bad. Divine power is condensed, and you can change it freely. Zhang Xiu couldn't help but praise him secretly. Generally, new gods would have a problem. They could change their spells stiffly. When they made a move, the power would indeed be very strong. It was not a small matter to move the power of the void freely. It was also because the power was too strong that it would be difficult to change it again. This was the principle of the so-called elephant turning. Many people blindly pursued the power of their spells, and neglected the importance of changing their moves. However, Ji Wudao didn't make such a mistake under the circumstances where he had no one to guide him. His wisdom was indeed outstanding. Zhang Xiu's eyes flashed. He didn't even look at the shadow of the fist that penetrated the void. The back of his hand swung, 2 swings, 3 swings, faster and faster. Every time he swung, he would use a surge of power. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of surges of power rushed out like 1,000 layers of waves. Boom, boom. The power was no match for the power of the fist. It was immediately broken through. However, after breaking through the first layer, there was still the second layer, the third layer, the fourth layer. Layer by layer, even the strongest power would be weakened step by step. Wonderful! If he wanted to defeat the strong as the weak, he wouldn't stand a chance. Seeing Zhang Xiu's endless tricks, Ji Wudao was extremely shocked. However, he still played it down. Is this a spell or a martial art? This qi could never become a wave, but Zhang Xiu's palm had indeed formed the power of a wave. Layer by layer, the waves behind beat the waves in front. Don't be surprised. Zhang Xiu smiled coldly. This was the so-called immortal martial art. If not for your higher cultivation level, this move would be enough to kill you. Chapter 218. Zhang Xiu wasn't joking. This move could even block the power of a god. A demigod would definitely be killed on the spot. However, Ji Wudao said coldly, a demigod is a demigod. You can't change this fact. So what if you're a demigod? The difference in power is something you can't make up for. As he spoke, Ji Wudao took a step forward. Take this move with my true power. He used his fingers as a sword. The bright white sword light expanded rapidly, reaching dozens of feet. It slashed towards Zhang Xiu. Zhang Xiu's expression changed. He immediately spat out a word, condense. The air waves instantly formed layers of air. They were as tough as steel walls. However, in front of the sword light, they were like air. They were easily cut apart, turning into short broken airlines. My sword is a qi weapon. A qi weapon is an invisible force. It's indestructible and can break all spells. Zhang Xiu's air waves could block the strong force, but they couldn't block this indestructible qi weapon. Zhang Xiu's expression darkened. Qi weapon. This was clearly the embryonic form of a sword technique. This person walked the path of a sword cultivator. This qi weapon was unintentionally comprehended by chance after I cultivated for 300 years. It can defeat any sword of a martial cultivator. It can break 1,000 feet of iron. It's your fortune that you're fated to meet me today. You should be content to die under this move. In an instant, the sword qi enveloped down, drawing upon the power of the void. Immediately, the entire world emitted a whistling sound as the sword of qi descended from the sky. Not to mention Zhang Xiu, even the Dawnfall Peak was about to be split apart. Zhang Xiu's eyes flashed. Ji Wudao, is this your trump card? If he wasn't just a demigod and couldn't trigger the power of the void, he really wanted to show him what a real sword technique was. Whoosh! Zhang Xiu suddenly dodged, and the chi weapon almost brushed past his body. The power of the weapon made his half-deified skin feel like it was being pricked by needles. He dodged again, and his whole body was already charging forward. Ji Wudao's expression became serious. Zhang Xiu wasn't even 20 years old and was only a demigod. He didn't expect him to be able to dodge his chi weapon. Moreover, this kid's moves were very strange. Again, I'll show you my power. Ji Wudao bent his fingers and flicked out more than 10 white streams of energy. The energy streams whistled in the night sky. They faintly formed into flying swords, shooting towards Zhang Xiu. You've dodged it once, but can you do it a second or third time? Do you think that a demigod like you can defeat a god? Whoosh! The flying swords were as fast as a flash of light. It was too much for one to handle. His hands flicked out continuously. Every time he flicked, 4 or 5 flying swords would appear. In an instant, the flying swords chased after the night sky like a storm. The area around Zhang Xiu was already covered by flying swords. In an instant, Zhang Xiu was in a situation where death was certain. Shocking, this is too shocking. Since the moment Zhang Xiu appeared, the spectators were completely shocked. It was as if they'd transmigrated to a world of legends. There were gods that flew through the sky, sword immortals that controlled their swords to kill their enemies, and even Dawnfall Peak was filled with immortal aura. Is Ji Wudao's cultivation really only a demigod? Condensing energy into a weapon. That power can destroy heaven and earth. It feels like the power of the entire void is at his disposal. It feels like there's an inexhaustible supply of energy. A demigod frowned and expressed his feelings. Many people at the side agreed. To them, they had no idea what kind of existence a god was and what kind of power they had. However, they could vaguely feel the trajectory of some of the energy. As for the martial cultivators of a lower level, they were dazzled and fascinated. Is this a demigod? The heavens are like gods. In front of them, the terrifying power of nature seems to be controlled. Who will win? An old man in a green robe asked. Ji Wudao. Ji Wudao. Everyone's answer was the same. That was Ji Wudao. Zhang Luoxia is indeed extraordinary. However, compared to Ji Wudao, there's a huge gap in power. They're not on the same level at all. Ji Wudao seems to be able to control heaven and earth with a single move. As for Zhang Luoxia, he can only rely on himself. Moreover, from the beginning, Zhang Xiu was suppressed by Ji Wudao. Moreover, once the energy weapon was used, Zhang Xiu became extremely dangerous. As for ordinary people like Miao Xiaolin and Song Ronghao, their eyes were about to pop out. Is this still a human? Zhang Xiu flew in the air while Ji Wudao seemed to be riding on the clouds. With a wave of his hand, he shot out a glowing energy, causing the rocks behind him to shatter. From the moment the two of them fought until now, the Sunset Peak had already been destroyed beyond recognition. The people at the foot of the mountain could feel the huge commotion when the rocks fell from the sky and hit the ground. It felt like a meteorite falling from the sky. It was truly shocking. Not to mention ordinary people like Miao Xiaolin, the nobles who witnessed this battle and even the martial cultivators' worldview were turned upside down. As for Cheng Lingsu and Zhang Yi, besides being shocked, they were so nervous that their hearts were about to jump out. The one fighting was Zhang Xiu. If he was careless, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. Ji Wudao, if it was an ordinary demigod, no, I'm afraid that even the gods here would be defeated by this move of yours. However, it's a pity that you met me. Zhang Xiu sighed inwardly. Ji Wudao's energy weapon had already touched the threshold of a sword technique. The rarest thing was that he had figured out all this on his own in this barren land of cultivation. However, in the end, it was a pity that he had not truly formed a sword technique. After all, the energy weapon was just sharp energy and not sword intent. Break! Facing the flying swords that shot at him like a storm, Zhang Xiu uttered a profound incantation. At the same time, he stretched out a sword finger and drew a rune in the air to welcome the flying swords that filled the sky. As the golden light sand flowed, a rune suddenly burst forth with a strong power. All the flying swords seemed to have entered a strange vacuum space. Not only did the speed of the flying swords decrease, but they also seemed to have lost the support of their energy. Starting from the tail, they started to dissipate bit by bit. In the end, even the sword tip turned into nothingness. How is this possible? The energy weapon was actually suppressed by the rune. The rune could only suppress things that could be suppressed. The energy weapon was an item without any attributes. How could it be suppressed by the rune? It did not make sense. The energy weapon was omnipotent, yet it was also omnipotent. However, the eyes could not deceive people. The energy weapon was broken. At this moment, Ji Wudao's expression changed drastically. While Ji Wudao was in a daze, Jiang Xiu drew a line in the air with his bare hands and said, "Ji Wudao, have a taste of my energy weapon too." As soon as he finished speaking, he drew a line in the air and a white waterfall flashed out. This waterfall condensed into a sword ray that was more than 10 feet long. Rip! The sword ray slashed down from the sky. It felt as if it was going to cut the night sky apart. What? This time, Ji Wudao could no longer remain calm. Jiang Xiu had actually used the exact same qi weapon as him. This qi weapon was something he had only comprehended after hundreds of years of cultivation. How did he know it? In his previous life, Jiang Xiu had cultivated the sword, and had almost reached the pinnacle of the Tao of the sword. Although he was neither a deity nor a god now, and could not unleash a true sword art, he could still draw a gourd and unleash a qi weapon with ease. Moreover, from form to spirit, he was stronger and more complete than Ji Wudao. There's no reason. Ji Wudao could not believe it. With a boom, the violent energy in his body turned into white smoke and rushed out. "Jiang Luoxia, I've cultivated for hundreds of years. Do you think I'm joking with you?" The energy weapon slashed fiercely on the white smoke that rushed out. Bang! The white smoke surged. The energy weapon could not move an inch further. It was forcefully blocked by the white smoke. Gradually, the energy weapon began to fade and finally disappeared without a trace. Sigh. Jiang Xiu sighed inwardly. The difference between the strength of a demigod and that of a god was too great. It was impossible to break through the defense of a god, no matter how good your immortal martial arts were. Ha ha ha. Jiang Luoxia, you're too naive. You're actually thinking of killing a god as a demigod? However, you've really surprised me. Ji Wudao shook his head and sighed. I didn't expect that such a talented junior like you would appear in this world. Moreover, you're not even 20 years old. If you weren't my enemy, I would really want to let you go. Unfortunately, you just have to go against me. If I let you go today, I'm afraid you'll be a disaster in the future. Jiang Luoxia Dai. As he spoke, a long sword that shone with a cold light appeared in Ji Wudao's hand. He finally used his sword. Chapter 219. From the moment Ji Wudao released his qi weapon, Jiang Xiu knew that Ji Wudao was a sword cultivator. His true trump card was the sword. Ji Wudao said, "This sword is called Hao Xue. It's my sword and has killed countless demons. It's your great fortune to be able to see it today. I'll let you witness my true killing move." The spectators all gasped in surprise. Ji Wudao had made a name for himself many years, but the sword in his hand was what made him truly famous. Wherever the sword went, it would be invincible. He had fought hundreds of battles in his life, big and small, and had never been defeated by a single Qing Feng. Jiang Xiu guessed in his heart. Did he rely on his sword cultivation to survive 500 years before being recognized by the heavens and earth? Jiang Luoxia. Ji Wudao's eyes narrowed. He suddenly soared into the sky and turned into a thunderstorm. The entire world was filled with the sound of thunder. The rolling sound waves shook heaven and earth, causing rocks to roll down. What was even more shocking was that Ji Wudao's entire body exploded with a strong light, like a blazing sun. Flying over, a heaven-shaking sword strike. Rip. At this moment, the entire world was enveloped by the strong light. The sunset peak was as bright as day. The light was sword chi, and the sword chi was light. It covered the sky and earth, destroying everything. Heaven, man, and sword as one. Everyone who witnessed this scene was shocked to the extreme. This sword was really too strong. Even if they weren't in it, they could feel the unparalleled sword might. Zhang Luoxia was about to lose. Only two figures could be seen in the strong light. Ji Wudao slashed down from the sky, but Zhang Xiu didn't dodge. Not only that, he even closed his eyes. In reality, not only did he close his eyes, he also abandoned his five senses. His eyes, ears, mouth, and nose, all of his attention was focused on his divine essence. The saber pellet in Zhang Xiu's divine energy slowly unfurled and turned into a long thread. Then, it disappeared into the divine energy in a flash. In the next moment, a strong light erupted from Zhang Xiu's glabella. As the strong light flashed, the thread slowly came out of his glabella. The light was like a silver flame that flickered endlessly. He didn't have a divine body, but he controlled the sword pellet. If he wasn't careful, he would be injured and die. Therefore, he abandoned his five senses and focused his mind. At this moment, the Haoxue sword slashed down from the sky. Boom! With a loud bang, the two strong lights collided with each other. For a moment, the light was like sparks that sputtered everywhere. The two forces collided, and one after another, violent chi waves were pushed out from the center of the collision between the two forces. Boom, boom, boom. The airflow, rocks, and trees in the surroundings were unable to endure such terrifying force and exploded apart. For a time, it seemed like the heavens and the earth were collapsing, and countless rocks rolled down the 30 kilometers tall cliff from Dawnset Peak. Ha! With a roar, Zhang Xiu's eyes suddenly opened. The strong light on his forehead exploded. With a swoosh, a flying knife flashed. No one saw where the flying knife came from, and no one knew how it was released. At the moment when the flying knife appeared, no one expected it to be able to withstand the strongest sword of a god. Ding! The flying knife collided with the sword blade. The sound was so pleasant to the ears. Pfft! The force on the sword was transmitted, and the sword blade broke. Ji Wudao fell backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. He was a god, a real god. His body was extraordinary, and he was above the material world. He could withstand the attack of a bullet. However, a small flying knife collided with his sword blade. He flew backward and spat out blood. His eyes were fixed on the shining flying knife floating in front of Zhang Xiu's forehead. He was shocked, frightened, and confused. He was sure that Zhang Xiu was a demigod, but he could actually hurt him because of this small flying knife. After the flying knife hit him, it didn't slow down and continued to fly forward. At the same time, the flying knife's blade was expanding at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the next moment, it was 30 to 40 meters long. The fear in his eyes grew stronger, and he was so scared that his eyes almost popped out. He screamed, "No!" The knife was like thunder. Boom! The fierce knife light pierced through Ji Wudao's body. His frightened eyes gradually dimmed, and he lost his spirit. In the end, he said, "Impossible, impossible." He didn't believe that a demigod could kill a god. Boom! Ji Wudao fell heavily to the ground. This peerless master who had never been defeated lost all his life under the flying knife. He fell to the ground and didn't move. Only his bulging eyes showed that he died with a grievance. Zhang Xiu said calmly, "This is a knife pellet, the foundation of a god's knife path. Only when it is refined with real godly power and cultivated by myself in the demigod realm can it be refined by a god. Of course, it can kill a god. Die in peace." Ji Wudao's body slowly emitted fluorescent light. It was very beautiful in the night. After about 10 seconds, the whole body turned into nothingness. Donglu Mountain was dead silent. No one spoke. Everyone looked at the scene with their eyes and mouths wide open. Ji Wudao is dead? Ji Wudao is dead. All the martial cultivators present were extremely shocked. Their gazes were as if they were looking at a god as they looked at the perfect young man on the sunset mountain who was like a demon god. Zhang Luoxia 1. Zhang Luoxia was the youngest demigod in the world. No one knew how strong he was. He had even killed Ji Wudao. Judging from the strength he had displayed, he might even be a god. Gods were legendary existences. With such cultivation and destructive power, what difference was there between him and a god? Descend from the 9 mysteries and cleanse the sky, 1,000 years of work. Even without a square inch, it is still outstanding. From now on, this sentence will shake the world. Everyone was worried. Before the battle, almost no one thought that Zhang Luoxia would win. But Zhang Luoxia used reality to slap them in the face. It hurt, it hurt. Was he afraid of the battle? Cheng Lingsu suddenly covered her mouth. Tears flowed out silently. He won, he killed Ji Wudao. She couldn't control herself and squatted down, crying loudly. Old immortal Ji is dead? Lord Zhang said in a trembling voice. After that, his legs went soft and he couldn't stand anymore. Zhang Xiu's words echoed in his mind. Zhang Yishan, you're finished. Your Zhang family is finished. Everyone in the Zhang family was dumbstruck, as if they had lost their parents. They knew very well what old immortal Ji's death meant to the Zhang family. They had lost their last pillar of support. He won. Lin Yueling was still in a daze. She couldn't believe it. He won. Zhang Yi was also in a daze. Zhang Xiu flew down Mount Luoxia. He flew in the air. Everywhere he passed, the martial cultivators saluted him. Greetings to Mr. Zhang of Jiangnan. Greetings to Mr. Zhang. Their voices echoed from Mount Donglu all the way to the foot of the mountain. The entire Mount Donglu was in an uproar. When he landed, a man with a resolute face walked up and blocked Zhang Xiu's path. He said coldly, "You dared to kill my master. I want to avenge him." Zhang Xiu glanced at him. "Who are you?" The man replied, "Demigod Zhu Dingxing." This person was Ji Wudao's demigod disciple. In these 10 days, he had defeated several demigods consecutively, establishing Ji Wudao's unparalleled reputation and also making Zhang Xiu's reputation as a coward. Zhang Xiu glanced at him. "So it's you?" After he finished speaking, Zhang Xiu's hand suddenly chopped down. The man's face was shocked. Zhang Xiu's hand knife had not yet landed, but the fierce qi had already suppressed him to the point that he could not breathe. "Ah!" Zhu Dingsheng screamed in horror. Bang! Demigod Zhu Dingxing's body seemed to have been crushed by tens of thousands of tons of pressure. His entire body exploded, and his flesh was mangled. Hiss! Everyone present gasped. Zhu Dingxing, who had defeated more than half of Huaxia's demigods, had declared that he would seek revenge on Zhang Xiu. In the end, he couldn't even withstand a single blow. A bunch of useless people. Seeing how powerful Zhang Luoxia was, everyone present was shocked. They couldn't help but fear him. If this person were to rise, who could defeat him? Who could suppress him? Everyone thought of a name. It was the representative of Huaxia's demigods, Si Wuxie, who had survived the atomic bomb. However, Si Wuxie had disappeared for many years and hadn't appeared for 60 years. Zhang Xiu stomped his feet again and flew away. He easily flew a few hundred miles and disappeared in the direction of the Zhang family's courtyard, disappearing from everyone's sight. Seeing Zhang Xiu walking over, the Zhang family looked at him in horror. Chapter 220. Zhang Xiu's appearance began to degenerate at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the deified state slowly disappeared. First, his eyes returned to normal, then his long hair became shorter, and his facial features were not as prominent and perfect as before, revealing the appearance of Zhang Xiu. But this did not reduce the Zhang family's fear of Zhang Xiu at all. The more real Zhang Xiu was, the more frightened they were. Only then did they truly feel that Zhang Xiu was Zhang Luoxia. He walked up to Zhang Yishan and looked straight at him. At this time, Master Jiang was no longer as domineering and ruthless as before. He heard Jiang Xiu say, "Jiang Yishan, your biggest support has been killed by me. What other tricks do you have?" Master Jiang looked at Jiang Xiu, and his heart was surging like stormy waves. His fingernails pierced into his palms, but he didn't feel it at all. "This is your trump card? You hid it so well." He slowly closed his eyes and smiled bitterly. "Jiang Xiu, have you been planning to take revenge on my Jiang family?" Jiang Xiu said, "That's right. You caused my father to spend his best years in prison, and you caused my mother to waste her time. You caused my father to be in prison, and I was laughed at and bullied since I was a child. I'll take revenge for all these." His tone was so cold and determined that Master Jiang could no longer keep calm at this time. Jiang Xiu had the strength to overturn the Jiang family. Jiang Xiu's eyes were cold and murderous. "I, Jiang Luoxia, have said that I will never pay with my life for the life of those who go against me. I want your Jiang family to be destroyed, and I want the Jiang family to disappear from this world completely." "Ah!" The Jiang family cried out softly. Jiang Xiu's words made them tremble all over. It was as if the judgment of the end of the world had sentenced them to death. "Humph!" Master Jiang snorted coldly. "Aren't you a member of the Jiang family?" "Yes." The members of the Jiang family who were already in despair felt a glimmer of hope when they heard this. He was also a member of the Jiang family. After all, they were relatives. He wouldn't be so heartless. Jiang Xiu almost laughed. He couldn't help but shake his head. "Jiang Yishan, have you ever thought of us as your Jiang family? The way you treat my family is 10 times, 100 times more ruthless than the way you treat your enemies. You want me to have a conscience, just like how my parents want you to have a conscience. It's impossible." Old Master Jiang said, "Minor repairs. Just take it as Grandpa's fault. Please forgive Grandpa. I will use my power to make up for the grievances your family has suffered." "Ha ha ha," Jiang Xiu sneered. This man was so shameless that it made his hair stand on end. "Well, the compensation I want is very simple. The whole Jiang family has to be buried with my family for the painful days in the past. They have to be buried with my father-in-law who is lying in the hospital." He suddenly raised his hand. Bang! Jiang Hao, who was far away, let out a scream of terror. His entire body was sliced in half in the air and fell into a pool of blood, causing everyone to cry out in terror. Ah! The Jiang family was really frightened this time. They were really going to kill him. Someone shouted, "Don't kill me, don't kill me. I have nothing to do with the Jiang family." It turned out to be Jiang Hao's wife. "I have nothing to do with the Jiang family either. This old bastard, I have long wanted to kill him." It was the husband of the youngest daughter of the Jiang family. He was the one who had been in the director's position for 10 years because he said something wrong. "I'm going to cut the Jiang family in 2 halves." One of the grandchildren of the Jiang family said. Old Master Jiang roared crazily, "What are you doing? My Jiang family is not finished yet. You are a group of ingrates. My Jiang family has raised you for so many years. How dare you rebel against me? Old bastard, good and evil will be rewarded in the end. We have been bullied by you as if we were dogs. You beat and scolded us for no reason. I've had enough. You are an old monster who has no humanity. People say that even a vicious tiger will not eat its cubs. You even want to hurt your own son. You are really worse than a beast." These people were in awe of Jiang Yishan's power. There was no family affection at all in this family. There was only interest. When the interest was strangled, the accumulated resentment in the past would collectively erupt. Power, wealth, and vanity blinded their eyes. Jiang Yi and his wife didn't say a word. "Jiang Yishan, what else do you have to say?" Old Master Jiang's eyes were lifeless like a walking corpse. He raised his head and looked at Jiang Xiu. Countless emotions flashed through his eyes. There was anger, doubt, confusion, and, in the end, they all turned into deep regret. He couldn't speak anymore. He knew that the Jiang family was finished, completely finished. Zhang Xiu strode away. Dad, Mom, let's go. When they walked out, the gate of the courtyard was closed. Let us out. Let us out. On the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival, the moon hung high in the sky. The bright moon was covered with a faint layer of blood. When the gate of the rich Zhang family was closed, it announced the end of this family. Just like that night when Lin Yuelin and the 5-year-old Zhang Xiu knelt in front of the cold gate. The gate was tightly closed and would never be opened. The gate here would be closed forever. Zhang Xiu, Zhang Yi, and his wife walked down the mountain path. The people on Donglu Mountain also walked down. There was no other way. The mountain path along the way was smashed by the huge rocks that fell from the Sunset Peak during the Battle of the Demigods. Some fell on the road and blocked it, making it impossible for vehicles to pass. Lin Yueling was truly astonished when she saw a 1 to 2 meter tall rock. This was caused by her son's fight with someone. She was extremely excited. Her son had grown up and even possessed such an unimaginable ability. Dad, Mom, let's go celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival together. And Hanlin's family too. Let's go to the hospital. Zhang Xiu said, Dad, you don't blame Uncle Cheng anymore? Zhang Yi shook his head. To be honest, he was also a victim of what happened back then. He was forced to betray me. He must feel terrible. Now, Lin Yueling said, actually, he was implicated by our family. We should be the ones who let him down. Zhang Xiu nodded. If Cheng Hanlin was not Zhang Yi's brother, the Zhang family would not have looked for him. Zhang Yi said, minor repairs. Your Uncle Cheng worked hard to build the program group. Now that everything is over, you should return the program to your Uncle Cheng. Although some unpleasant things happened in the past life, but as Zhang Xiu said, human nature could not withstand the test. Moreover, Cheng Hanlin was lying on the hospital bed now. Let everything be over. Okay. Back at the hospital, it was noisy inside. Cheng Hanlin was screaming in pain. The doctor was giving him a painkiller. Sun Xiaohong and Cheng Lingran were anxious and had tears in their eyes. Hanlin. Zhang Yi came to Cheng Hanlin with concern. Brother Yi. This was the first time Zhang Yi called his name after more than 10 years. Cheng Hanlin replied in pain. This time, all the grievances of the past faded away. It was as if they had returned to more than 10 years ago. Bear with it. After the surgery, the wound would be very painful. Especially in the first 2 nights, some people would faint from the pain. Minor repairs has helped you take revenge. The Zhang family has been overturned. Everything is in the past. I know that you were forced to do it in the past. Let it go. What do you think? Cheng Hanlin's eyes were filled with tears. He did not know if it was because of the pain or because of Zhang Yi's words. He nodded vigorously. One more thing. Minor repairs said that they will return the Cheng clan to you. You should get better quickly. The Cheng clan is still waiting for you to take care of it. Cheng Hanlin's eyes lit up. Really? Of course it's true. That's the world you fought for. The misunderstanding has been cleared. Of course, it will be returned to you. We will be like before. I will be an official and you will be a businessman. Okay. Sun Xiaohong covered her mouth and cried. Finally, she could be a rich man's wife again. The atmosphere in the ward became very harmonious. It was as if everything had cleared up after the storm. Only one person was confused. That was Cheng Lingran, Zhang Xiu's wife in his previous life. She was a little confused. She pulled Zhang Xiu and motioned for him to come out. Sister, why did you call me? Zhang Xiu looked at Cheng Lingran. He felt a little sad. However, Cheng Lingran looked so haggard in just one day. Cheng Hanlin's incident had a big impact on her. What's going on? What revenge? What Qing clan? Zhang Xiu said, Hey, didn't your program go bankrupt? It was maliciously acquired by someone. My dad and I took it back. It's now under my name. Tomorrow, I will transfer it back to your dad. It's that simple. Cheng Lingran looked doubtful. It's that simple. Chapter 221. Cheng Lingran stared at Zhang Xiu suspiciously. This guy showed a very sincere smile, and his eyes were so calm that it made people's hair stand on end. Even he himself almost believed it. Cheng Lingran, who was so beautiful that no one could find a trace of flaw, was actually just asking casually. Now she was actually very tired and didn't want to waste her brain thinking about these things at all. It had been almost 40 hours since yesterday. Not only was she frightened, but she also didn't sleep at all. She couldn't help but cover her mouth with her hand and doze off. Zhang Xiu said, "You haven't slept yet, right?" Cheng Lingran nodded and said, "It's okay. I'm young and can bear it. I'm a little worried about my mother. She's the same as me. She hasn't slept for a while." Zhang Xiu said, "You can't be like this. You wait here. I'll go get some food back. After eating, quickly go to sleep. Your father's condition can't be cured in a short time. If you don't have a good body, how can you take care of him?" Cheng Lingran curled up in the hospital chair. "Don't go too far. Just buy some instant noodles from the hospital snack shop." Zhang Xiu obediently ran to the snack shop and made a cup of noodles. When he came back, he found Cheng Lingsu lying in the hospital chair asleep. She was a girl who loved cleanliness. Places like the hospital were dirty and full of bacteria. If she wasn't so tired, she wouldn't fall asleep. It would definitely be uncomfortable to sleep like this. Zhang Xiu sat beside her and wanted her to rest on his lap. Unexpectedly, Cheng Lingran woke up alertly and smelled the fragrance of instant noodles. "I'm starving." She sat up and reached out to eat. "You'll get pimples if you eat instant noodles." Cheng Lingran didn't care. After eating a few mouthfuls, she said, "You jinx. If I really get pimples, I'll fight with you." "Fine." Cheng Lingran had an inner core hanging around her neck. Its detoxification ability was very strong. Cheng Lingran's skin was getting more and more moist, and she was getting more and more beautiful. No matter how much instant noodles she ate, she definitely wouldn't get pimples. Zhang Xiu just reminded her that it was useless to eat too much of this kind of thing. "Give me 2 mouthfuls too." Zhang Xiu had fought a fierce battle with Ji Wudao today. If he hadn't taken the risk to condense a knife pill, he might have really died at Ji Wudao's hands. This battle could be said to have consumed his energy. "Do you have a conscience? You want to snatch a bowl of instant noodles? Why don't you go and buy another one?" Cheng Lingran said stingily. She was really starving and didn't have enough to eat. Zhang Xiu said speechlessly, "Sister, it seems like I'm the one who paid for this cup of noodles." That seemed to be the case. Cheng Lingran only then realized that she was the one who believed in hegemony. She reluctantly used her fork to feed him a mouthful of instant noodles. It was only a small mouthful. Zhang Xiu didn't dare to dislike it anymore. When a person was hungry, the fragrance of instant noodles was really amazing. A beautiful figure appeared in the corridor. She was carrying a belt with bags of various sizes in her hands. From the outside, it looked like a takeout box. She happened to see this scene. A strange look flashed across her beautiful eyes, and her gaze was a little sad. Cheng Lingran saw her from the corner of her eyes. Like a thief who got caught, she ran away in fright. "Su Su." Cheng Lingsu stepped forward and came over. "Why are you eating instant noodles? I bought fish, meat, and rice. Hurry up and eat." Cheng Lingran's pretty face was a little red. "Minor repairs. Aren't you hungry? Hurry up and eat." She reached out to take the takeout bag in her sister's hand and took out the takeout boxes one by one. Cheng Lingsu took a deep look at Zhang Xiu. His face was still as indifferent as ever. She thought that after tonight, the relationship between them should have changed, but it seemed that there was no change. He was still the same to her. Cheng Lingsu realized that she had made a mistake. From the beginning, Zhang Xiu's attitude towards her might have nothing to do with the grievances of the elders. It might be caused by her treating him as a stranger in the 3 years of high school. Dad, how is it? Cheng Lingran said, I just had a painkiller injection. It's a little better now. Go in and have a look. Take these to Mom. Oh, by the way, Uncle Jiang and Auntie Lin should be hungry too. Take 2 more servings in. Cheng Lingsu said, oh, and took the things in. Uncle, Auntie, you're here. Have some supper. Lin Yueling laughed and said, what's wrong with you? You don't like your mother-in-law's lipstick and bag enough? You don't want to call Mom and Dad? Cheng Lingsu's face turned red. Mom, Dad. The joy of the reconciliation of the 2 families gradually diluted the haze of Chang Hanlin's serious illness in bed. Chang Hanlin's face was full of smiles. In his opinion, it was really worth it to be hit by a car once to make the 2 families reconcile. It smells so good. I want to eat it too, Chang Hanlin said with a smile. Jiang Yi said, don't be greedy. By the way, do you have wine? Chang Hanlin complained. Brother Yi, you don't have to torture me like this. Jiang Yi said, today is the Mid-Autumn Festival. It's rare for our 2 families to be so united. Of course, we have to drink. Su, asked the stinky boy outside to buy 2 bottles of wine. Okay. Cheng Lingsu walked out of the ward and saw her sister and Zhang Xiu eating. Zhang Xiu was such a big man. Was it appropriate to ask him to buy wine? Obviously, it was not appropriate. He planned to buy it himself. But Cheng Lingsu thought, no matter how good he was not Uncle Zhang's son. It was natural for a son to buy wine for his father. Why should I spoil him? You ignored me. You even have a temper. Zhang Xiu, Dad asked you to buy wine. Zhang Xiu could not believe his ears. What was this woman saying? Asking him to buy wine? How could he do this kind of thing himself? Cheng Lingsu was a little scared when he glanced at her. If looks could kill, Cheng Lingsu felt that Zhang Xiu's sword had pierced through her heart. Cheng Lingsu was scared. I'll go. She did not know why she was so disappointing. Cheng Lingran said, Su, wait. It's not convenient for a girl like you to go in and out of the house at night. Minor repairs. You go with me. She also glared at Zhang Xiu. How can you be so stupid? Zhang Xiu was very reluctant, but he had to stand up obediently. The 2 of them walked outside. The small store did not have the wine that Jiang Yi wanted to drink. They had to go to the supermarket outside to buy it. Zhang Xiu did not say a word along the way. He had a headache when he remembered that Cheng Lingsu was his wife. Now that the 2 families had reconciled, they would not let him be separated from Cheng Lingsu. As for his wife in his previous life, Cheng Lingran, he knew that Cheng Lingran would be farther and farther away from him when she saw Cheng Lingsu's nervous expression when she saw Cheng Lingran feeding him. Cheng Lingsu said, I forgot to congratulate you. You won. Zhang Xiu said, useless people. It's not worth celebrating. His tone was very calm, but Cheng Lingsu saw the shock of the battle and felt that Zhang Xiu was arrogant. She could not help but think that there was no limit to his arrogance. Zhang Xiu asked her, what do you plan to do in the future? Cheng Lingsu said, plans? Nothing special. I just want to take good care of my father and study well. There was a supermarket opposite the hospital. Did you forget what I told you? After this matter is resolved, we will divorce. The dim street light shone on Cheng Lingsu's face. He could not see her face clearly, but he could feel her eyelashes fluttering gently. She said, okay, do as you see fit. Cheng Lingsu felt that she did not like him at all. If they divorced, then so be it. However, she could not control her tears. How about tomorrow at noon? Okay. She walked quickly into the supermarket, tears falling silently. She was very surprised why she was crying. She thought that she must have felt wronged because she was passive from the beginning to the end. The Zhang family got married just like that. Now, all her classmates knew that she was married. If she divorced, then it would be a second marriage. After buying the wine, Cheng Lingsu returned to the ward. Uncle Zhang. Dad, your wine. It was very difficult to call him Dad, almost using all her strength. Zhang Yi took it in his hand and looked at it. Not bad. As soon as the wine was opened, the ward was full of the fragrance of wine. Cheng Hanlin on the bed said, "It's terrible." "Ha ha ha," Zhang Yi laughed. "By the way, Yueling, you two mothers should quickly take care of it. The marriage certificate has been obtained and the young couple's marriage is arranged. Otherwise, Hanlin will think that I mistreated his daughter." Lin Yueling said with a smile, "Yes, yes. By the way, Su, where is your marriage certificate?" Chang Lingsu was stunned. It's in the bag. Give it to me." Chang Lingsu looked at Zhang Xiu, only to see the corners of the latter's mouth twitch unnaturally. Was she going to give it to him or not? "Mr. Zhang." Chapter 222. Chang Lingsu gritted her teeth and thought to herself, "Why do I have to listen to you? Why do you have to control my fate?" Our second Miss Cheng also has a temper. She ignored Zhang Xiu's face, which was beginning to turn blue. She took out the marriage certificate from her bag. As soon as she took it out, it was taken away by Lin Yueling. Cheng Lingsu noticed that Zhang Xiu's face was completely blue. The little girl deliberately put on a very innocent expression. Her helpless eyes seemed to tell Zhang Xiu that it was his mother who wanted to take away the marriage certificate. There was nothing she could do. However, it seemed that they didn't have to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow at noon. Divorce required marriage certificates. Sun Xiaohong and Cheng Lingsu hadn't seen their marriage certificate yet, so they gathered together to look at it. Lin Yueling said on the side, "Minor repairs. This photo is super ugly." Of course, she looked as if she had nothing to live for. Zhang Yi said, "Well, you don't have to stay here. You take your family home for minor repairs. I'll stay to take care of Hanlin. We haven't been together for more than 10 years. Let's talk." Sun Xiaohong and Cheng Lingran had been tired for a long time. Hearing this, they didn't say much. The family left the ward, stopped a taxi, and returned home in the capital. Cheng Lingsu still had clothes to change into. She took a set for her sister. The two sisters had similar figures. Cheng Lingran was slightly more voluptuous than Cheng Lingsu. After washing up, everyone went to bed. Zhang Xiu and Cheng Lingsu naturally stayed in the same room. Cheng Lingsu wiped her wet hair and said, "Today, I'm still sleeping in the bed?" These words sounded a little boastful. According to the current progress, the two estimated that they would have to maintain a husband and wife relationship for a while. As she spoke, Cheng Lingsu had already crawled into bed. Zhang Xiu didn't say a word. In his heart he thought, when did Cheng Lingsu become so obedient? Where's your drive to force people to break off the engagement? He guessed that Cheng Lingsu most likely took out the marriage certificate on purpose. Wang Xintong's house was opposite the window. Looking out from the window, he could see a woman standing by the window opposite, shaking a glass of red wine in her hand. She slightly raised her glass to Zhang Xiu, probably to congratulate him on his victory today. After drinking it, she picked up the phone and called Zhang Xiu. Zhang Xiu looked at Cheng Lingsu on the bed and picked up the call. Wang Xintong's voice came from the other end. She sounded a little excited. "Today my dad and I went to see it. This battle was to determine their life and death. It's very shocking. Everyone outside is guessing your cultivation level. The demigod ranking changed overnight. It rose 8 places and rose to 3rd place. You're the number 1 demigod in China. As your representative, my phone is about to explode with calls tonight. Many Chinese martial arts families want to meet you, and many influential people want their children to acknowledge you as their master." Zhang Xiu said, "Get to the point." Wang Xintong said, "The Zhang family is finished. It's really unexpected that a giant like the Zhang family would be defeated by you." Overnight, their businesses in Jiangnan and the capital all recovered. In addition, a large number of rich and powerful people left a huge gap in the market in Jiangnan. Gu Shu just received orders from the Jiaoyu platform. We can enter and consolidate, but we must be quick. I have to rush back tomorrow. All of this was because Zhang Xiu had won the demigod battle. If Zhang Xiu had lost, not only would the Zhang family be fine, but the market in Jiangnan might even fall into the hands of the Zhang family. Winner takes all. This was the case since ancient times. I can't accompany you anymore. Wang Xintong's voice was full of disappointment. She would be very busy in the coming days. Zhang Xiu said, "Get to the point." Wang Xintong was unyielding. In her opinion, this was the point. It was always the same. She wanted to get closer, but he would mercilessly push her away. She could only say, "How do you plan to deal with the Ji family?" Zhang Xiu said, "I'll go to the Ji family personally." Okay. After hanging up, Zhang Xiu fell into deep thought. Ji Wudao was undoubtedly a god. The secret of how he became a god could only be solved by going to the Ji family. There was even a possibility that Ji Wudao would bring him to his coffin. However, Zhang Xiu had no choice but to kill him. A demigod riding a flying knife was like an old cow pulling a cart. It was very taxing. That knife had almost exhausted all of his divine power. If he had left Ji Wudao alive, he might not have been able to get the secret of becoming a god out of him. He might not even have been able to use the knife a second time. For safety reasons, he still killed Ji Wudao. Besides, he was also very confident. If Ji Wudao could do it, he was sure that he could do it too. He believed that he would definitely be able to find the way to become a god. When he turned around, he saw Cheng Lingsu staring at him with a pair of bright eyes in the dark night. After being discovered, she quickly turned around. Zhang Xiu said exasperatedly, "I didn't know that you have a habit of eavesdropping on people's conversations." Cheng Lingsu ignored him. She thought to herself, "This room is only so big. You're talking on the phone in the room. It's so noisy that I can't sleep. I'm not going to scold you anymore, but you're still blaming me for eavesdropping?" Zhang Xiu got up and took a change of clothes into the bathroom. The night was silent. The next morning, Sun Xiaohong woke up. She was used to being lazy, but this bankruptcy made her diligent. She also understood the value of her work. Early in the morning, she bought breakfast and even packed a box. She planned to switch shifts with Zhang Yi later. Zhang Yi was now the Anan Shu. He couldn't stay in the capital for too long. At most, he would stay for another day before he could go back with Lin Yueling. At that time, her two daughters would have to go to school. She would still have to take care of things herself. So early. Yes, sister-in-law, you're also very early. Sun Xiaohong noticed that Lin Yueling didn't look very good, so she asked, "Sister-in-law, didn't you rest well yesterday? Why don't you go upstairs and take a nap? I'll take care of things here." Lin Yueling came back last night. She tossed and turned, but couldn't fall asleep. It wasn't because she couldn't sleep, but because she had something on her mind. She really didn't know what to do. She knew that Zhang Xiu had sex with Nangong Ko because he was poisoned. She and Zhang Yi knew about it. Of course, they wouldn't talk about it. But the problem was that there was another victim, Nangong Ko. Good morning. Cheng Lingsu also got up and came downstairs. Young people were different. After a nap, they were in high spirits. Lin Yueling smiled at her. "You're up. Come and have breakfast." Looking at Cheng Lingsu, Lin Yueling's heart was covered with a layer of worry. She didn't know how Cheng Lingsu would react after learning about what had happened. If she was magnanimous, it would be fine, but if she would have a headache. Ran, are you still not up yet? Ran. Before long, Cheng Lingran also came downstairs. The whole family gathered together to have breakfast. Sun Xiaohong said, "I'll take care of your father. You two can go to school without worries. Come back after class. If you're too busy, I'll call the doctor." Her two daughters nodded obediently. "Su, where's that brat?" This morning, Cheng Lingsu found that Zhang Xiu had fallen asleep next to her. It was probably because the sofa was too uncomfortable for him to sleep, so he couldn't help but climb onto the bed. He must have exhausted a lot of energy during the fight last night. Let him sleep for a while longer. As they spoke, Jiang Xiu also came down from upstairs. As usual, he had a cold face and did not sit beside Cheng Lingsu. Instead, he sat beside Cheng Lingran and said, "Sis, what time is your class today?" Cheng Lingran said, 7:30. "I have to hurry up, or I'll be late. I can't skip this class." Jiang Xiu said, "Let's go together." Back then, Lin Yueling forced Jiang Xiu to return to Jiangnan to study in university because she was worried that the Jiang family would destroy Jiang Xiu. Now, not only was Jiang Xiu not destroyed, but the Jiang family had been moved down. Of course, there was no need to change schools. "Why are you in such a hurry? Let Ran Ran go first. Didn't you stop half of your archaeology department's classes?" Lin Yueling said. Cheng Lingran saw that there was no time, so she took a steamed bun and walked out. Su Su stood up and said, "Sis, I'll go with you." She also took a steamed bun and followed. Not long after, Sun Xiaohong also packed up and went to the hospital, leaving Jiang Xiu and his mother behind. "Mom, isn't everything solved? Why do you want me to stay?" Lin Yueling said, "Everything is solved? You have the nerve to say that you don't know what you did? The Jiang family's problem is solved, but how are we going to deal with the Nangong family? We're the ones in the wrong." Jiang Xiu finally understood that his mother was worried about Nangong Ko. At that time, Mom, I was innocent." Lin Yueling said, "I don't care if you're innocent. You have to take care of this for me. Don't let Su Su know." "Okay, can I go to school now?" "Go." Chapter 223. Jiang Xiu thought that this was indeed a big problem. After he got into the car, he wanted to call Nangong Ko to see her attitude towards this matter. Just as Lin Yueling had said, the Nangong family cared a lot about their reputation. Moreover, the Jiang family didn't want anyone to know about this matter. As long as Nangong Ko didn't tell anyone about it, no one would know about it. Moreover, it was very unlikely that Nangong Ko would tell anyone about this matter. He found her old phone number and called her. However, she didn't answer it. He didn't know if it was because it was too early, or if he remembered the wrong number. He thought that it was fine if he couldn't find her number. However, when the car arrived at the university, Jiang Xiu received a text message from Nangong Ko's number. "Everything between us will be a secret forever." Jiang Xiu's eyebrows twitched. Nangong Ko was very calm. Even though they had done the most intimate thing, and she was still a virgin, she didn't lose herself in it. Instead, she made the right choice in Jiang Xiu's eyes. He deleted this number from his phone. Let everything go with the wind. When they arrived at the university, Jiang Xiu went to the big classroom for class. He had a new professor. He was talking on the top, while the students were taking notes on the bottom. Because of the serious archaeology incident, the university forbade any archaeology activities this semester. This was a heavy blow to the freshmen' enthusiasm for learning. Some of them protested, but the university was very firm on this matter. Zhou Jin, Zhang Yiwei and the other students were playing games under the table with their phones. They didn't listen to what the professor was saying at all. However, Zheng Luan chatted with Jiang Xiu casually. A student in the row in front of Jiang Xiu was browsing through his notebook. He was looking at some pictures of ancient ruins. This student must be really interested in archaeology. Suddenly, Jiang Xiu patted his shoulder and said, "Student, turn to the previous picture." The man was shocked by Jiang Xiu and cursed, "Damn, you scared me to death." However, he still flipped to the previous page for Jiang Xiu. There was a cobblestone with a talisman drawn on it. Its shape was exactly the same as the longevity stone talisman. Jiang Xiu said, "Classmate, where are the things on this?" That person said, "This is a forum. Someone from Europe put it up. It's been a while. Can I have a look?" The student handed the notebook to Jiang Xiu. Jiang Xiu took the notebook and looked at the stone carefully. Without a doubt, It was one of the 6 longevity stone talismans. The 2 longevity stone talismans in his hand had already been refined into knife pellets. If he wanted to strengthen the knife pellet, he would have to constantly refine special materials. In other words, this longevity stone talisman could increase his strength considerably. Europe, ancient castle, auction? This kind of thing was mostly put up by auction houses. This was also a common method. They would package it to hype it up. For example, if an antique was sold at a high price of hundreds of millions, a large part of it would be hyped up. Zhang Xiu looked at the transaction price. It was 75 million euros, equivalent to hundreds of millions of yuan. It was the sales champion of the quarter. Based on this price, the person who bought this stone should be someone who knew about it. How did this thing go abroad? Zhang Luan asked, did this originally belong to our country? Zhang Xiu pondered. This thing belonged to the Western region. The Western region was not considered China, but it was related to China. After all, it was a country close to China. If something from the Western region was to be lost, it would be more reasonable for it to go to China. However, China had been humiliated for 100 years. Many antiques were lost abroad. You can't say that. However, this thing should not be in the hands of Europeans. After class, Zhang Xiu took out his phone and called Wang Xintong. Did you receive my photo? Wang Xintong received it. It's an antique worth hundreds of millions. Zhang Xiu said, send someone to Europe immediately to contact the owner of this thing. No matter how much it costs, buy it for me. A problem that could be solved with money was not a problem. Wang Xintong said, okay, I'll send someone to do it immediately. The item was sold at a big auction. Although a large number of buyers would ask the auction house to keep their identity a secret to avoid trouble, it was not difficult to spend some money to investigate. The question now was whether the owner was willing to sell it or not. If the owner discovered the secret of the stone, or if the stone had caused changes in his body, then the possibility of that person selling it was very low, no matter how much money was offered. Would someone who could spend hundreds of millions be short of money? Get my visa done too. Understood. If the people sent couldn't get it done, Zhang Xiu would definitely make a trip himself. Not to mention the mystery of the stone, just the fact that it could improve Zhang Xiu's cultivation was something he would not let go of. Zhang Xiu, what are you doing? Hurry up. Zhang Luan urged Zhang Xiu, who was making the call. Coming. Zhou Jin said anxiously, it'll be too late if you're any slower. What? Zhang Luan laughed and said, what else? Of course it's to see the goddess. This time it's a real goddess, a senior in the 3rd year, recognized as the number 2 in the capital. Although there were 2 beauties at home in front of him and his immunity was stronger than ordinary animals, in this campus full of youthfulness, romance, and hormones, the campus belle would always be the most explosive and attractive topic. Compared to her, Cho In-ru from our department is a little less interesting. Cho In-ru is the department belle, but she's the campus belle. 2 levels. Zhang Xiu followed the animals to the grass beside the cafeteria and squatted down. According to Zhang Luan's experienced introduction, today, the campus belle is having a big class. After class, she'll definitely take this path to the cafeteria. Just to see her? Zhang Xiu was a little speechless. Zhou Jin said sourly, we looked back 500 times in our past lives in exchange for passing each other by in this life. Brother, this is such a great fate. You must grasp it later. Zhang Yiwei pretended to be deep in thought and said very cooperatively, then, how many glances do I have to make before I can truly live in your heart? The big classroom in the distance became noisy. The seniors in the 3rd year came out. In the afternoon after the Mid-Autumn Festival, the sun was warm and brought with it a cool autumn breeze. The female students were holding books and wearing elegant long dresses, full of a scholarly atmosphere. Their laughter and laughter made the whole campus move. They're out. So beautiful. The animals beside Zhang Xiu were stunned. Zhang Xiu looked over curiously. The girl was about 1.7 meters tall. She was wearing a white one-piece dress with a belt of the same color around her waist. Her figure was particularly tall, like a flawless white lily floating in the crowd. She was so elegant and refined. Her demure beauty was like a trickle that seeped into the young man's eyes and into the young man's heart. "Are you dumbfounded?" The girl was faintly discernible in the crowd. It was hard to see her clearly. Zhang Luan on the side ridiculed, "You usually act so cool, but when you see a beauty, you still become a pig. But this beauty, don't even think about it. Her level is too high. She's not someone we can reach." Zhang Xiu looked at the girl, a trace of pain flashing in his eyes. "You are so close, yet so far. In this life, even if I have the whole world, I won't be happy without you. Enough, hurry up and wake up." Zhang Xiu saw a hand waving in front of his eyes, blocking his view. He turned around and saw Zheng Luan. Zhou Jin and Zhang Yiwei on the side looked at him with disdain. "You just said that she's the number 2 of the Imperial College? Then who's number 1? This girl was none other than Cheng Lingran. Zhang Xiu didn't believe that there was a woman more beautiful than Cheng Lingran in this world. Of course, this kind of question had a personal preference. In Zhang Xiu's eyes, Cheng Lingran was the most beautiful. The number 1 is Long Shuqing. I don't think she's more beautiful, but you have to know that her surname is Long. I heard that she has a very powerful background. Is she choosing the campus belle? Fair, rich, and beautiful is the standard. Other than appearance, family matters are also very important." Zheng Luan on the side explained. Zhang Xiu said, "Doesn't she have anyone chasing after her in school?" Zheng Luan said, "Are you kidding? No one is chasing after the campus belle. There are many people chasing after her. Until now, I haven't heard of anyone close to Cheng Lingran. However, recently, I heard that a young master has been keeping a close eye on her." Chapter 224. It was normal for a beauty to be targeted, and there would be more than one pursuer. That day when he was in the car with Chang Lingsu, he saw several boys pestering her. Chang Lingran knew how to deal with them, and she had the inner core, so she would not be in danger. Therefore, Zhang Xiu did not need to worry about that. "Come on, bro. Give me some encouragement. I'm going to exchange the 500 times I looked at her in my previous life for a chance to pass by her in this life." When Zhang Xiu got up and was about to walk over, the other horny students had already stood up. Their expressions were as cold as Xiao Zhao's. The funniest thing was that the 3 horny students were scrambling to be the first to pass by her in this life. However, they were soon dumbfounded. Cheng Lingran, who was walking out with books in her arms, was surrounded by girls on both sides. Therefore, how could the horny students pass by her? They could only stare blankly at Cheng Lingsu walking away with her classmates. However, it was the first time for them to see their goddess at such a close distance. To be honest, they had never been so close to such a beautiful goddess. They were deeply attracted to her until Cheng Lingran walked away. But then, they all widened their eyes. "Damn, what is that guy doing?" They saw Zhang Xiu directly walking towards Cheng Lingran. "My God, he's going to do it directly. Awesome." The horny students did not expect Zhang Xiu to be so fierce. "Hey, why are you here?" Cheng Lingran looked up and saw Zhang Xiu. Zhang Xiu had been in the capital university for more than a month, and this was the first time they had met on campus. A warm smile appeared on his face. "I'm here to see the campus belle. Are you looking for a beating?" Cheng Lingran actually did not like the title of campus belle, not to mention that it was the second most beautiful campus belle. She rolled her eyes at him and said, "You came at the right time. Do you see? 1, 2, 3, go get 3 meals." Zhang Xiu was depressed. It turned out that he had to be used as a coolie by you. The 3 horny students, who had already passed by, were stunned. "Brother Xiu, you're awesome. You chatted with the campus belle, and the campus belle even smiled at you. What kind of relationship do you have with the campus belle? You actually hit it so deeply." Ran, Who is he? The two female students on the side asked curiously. He's Zhang Xiu, a freshman, from the archaeology department. Cheng Lingran knew what kind of people her female companion was. She was a top student of the capital university and an elite of a big family. They were very repulsed by outsiders. Unless you were on the same level as them, you would be ostracized. Therefore, Cheng Lingran did not say much. Today, the task of getting food from the cafeteria will be handed over to him. Although they were both schoolmates, the two sisters had completely different attitudes toward Zhang Xiu. Cheng Lingsu wanted Zhang Xiu to pretend that he did not know her for 3 years, while Cheng Lingran was worried that Zhang Xiu would not be liked by others, so she wanted to protect him. It was not hard to imagine that in his previous life, Cheng Lingsu abandoned him without hesitation, while Cheng Lingran sacrificed herself to compensate Zhang Xiu. Okay. The two female students on the side looked at Zhang Xiu from head to toe. His appearance was not bad, but there was nothing special about him. The so-called special thing was that his clothes were very ordinary. He was not a rich young master, but he was able to attract the attention of the campus belle. This is Fong Yi, and this is Bai Fei. Fong Yi was tall and slightly tanned, while Bai Fei had a round face and fair skin. Then I'll have to trouble you today. Zhang Xiu waved his hand. It was just a meal, so he took the lead and walked to the cafeteria. There would be a lot of people lining up during mealtime, and the animals behind him had already caught up. Damn, Zhang Xiu, you know the goddess? Do you want to eat together? What's your relationship? Each person asked one question, and Zhang Xiu almost drowned. If you want to know, line up and get 3 more servings of food. Okay. The group of people went to the cafeteria. Zhou Jin thought that if he could not get the goddess, it would be fine as long as he could get out of singlehood. There were 2 other girls beside the goddess, so he did not want to be picky. Hence, he said to Zhang Xiu very seriously, I don't reject a relationship with a younger man. Zhang Yiwei echoed, I don't reject it either. They were hungry and thirsty, okay? Zhang Luan immediately poured cold water on their heads. Don't think about it. Cheng Lingran studied finance, and the 2 girls with her have very strong backgrounds. Birds of a feather flock together, and they are not people we can associate with. You should be satisfied if you can get a meal for them once. Cheng Lingran and her best friend had already sat down at their table. When they saw Zhang Xiu coming back with food, she raised her slender jade hand high. Minor repairs here. The few animals sitting at the table next to them only dared to look from afar and did not dare to get close. They looked at Zhang Xiu sitting next to Cheng Lingran with envy and sighed. Bai Fei asked, Zhang Xiu, you have been in school for more than a month. Why are you only eating with Ran Ran now? This question was very strange, and there seemed to be a deeper meaning behind it. Zhang Xiu said, I'm busy. Fong Yi said, Don't tell me you are Ran Ran's temporary shield? Zhang Xiu picked up a tomato from his plate and gave it to Cheng Lingran. She liked to eat sweet and sour things. As husband and wife in their previous life, Zhang Xiu was very clear about her various likes and dislikes. He looked up at Fong Yi. Shield? What shield? Cheng Lingran said, Don't listen to their nonsense. Fong Yi said, I'm not talking nonsense. Who in the school doesn't know how closely Long Tingwei has been watching you? It's not impossible for you to find someone to pretend to be your boyfriend. Cheng Lingran was startled. She had never thought about this question, but Fong Yi reminded her. What's wrong? Is someone chasing you? Cheng Lingran hurriedly waved her hand. She looked a bit nervous. It was unknown if she was pretending to be nervous or if she was really nervous. In short, this behavior made Fong Yi and Bai Fei feel that Cheng Lingran cared a lot about Zhang Xiu. No, don't I already have you? How would I dare to get involved with someone else? Zhang Xiu didn't expect that there would be such a surprise during today's meal. It seemed that someone was really harassing Cheng Lingran. Cheng Lingran picked up the tomato that Zhang Xiu gave her and ate it without any hesitation. A normal relationship definitely wouldn't do this. There was a saying that there was a safe distance between people. When two people sat down, the closer they were to each other, the better their relationship. 50 centimeters was a safe distance. 30 centimeters was considered a good relationship. But now, Chang Lingran and Zhang Xiu were sitting so close together that their shoulders would occasionally brush against each other. Only close relatives would do this. It can't really be her boyfriend, right? Fang Yi and Bai Fei looked at each other. They thought that if it was really so, then Long Tingwei would probably explode. Just as they were talking, there was an uproar in the cafeteria. Looking over, they saw a young girl walking into the cafeteria. She was wearing red clothes. Her long hair was tied up, and her skin was whiter than snow. Her eyebrows were like black, and her eyebrows were slightly raised. Her beautiful eyes were as sharp as an ancient ice spring. Her nose was straight, and she had a small red mouth. Her face was well defined, and she was extremely beautiful. However, there was no trace of gentleness on her face, nor was there a trace of youthfulness. There was only coldness and coldness. Red clothes were originally beautiful and unrestrained, but when she wore them, with her snow-white skin and coldness, she gave off a demonic coldness. Long Yingqing, the #1 school beauty in the school. Why is she in the cafeteria? It was said that among the 4 school beauties of the Imperial Capital University, only Chang Lingran ate in the cafeteria. The other 3 had never appeared in the cafeteria. Zhang Xiu also looked at Long Yingqing and saw that she was walking towards them. She went straight to Chang Lingran. Long Yingqing's gaze swept across Chang Lingran's face. Do you think you're worthy of being called a school beauty? Chang Lingran smiled and said, I've never thought of myself as one either. Long Yingqing said, these days, some people like to be in the limelight. Beauties, school beauties, and titles. Their purpose is to attract rich husbands. To put it bluntly, they're just selling themselves. She deliberately emphasized the word selling, as if she was hinting at something. Cheng Lingren's expression turned ugly. I've always been very resistant to the school's vote because I've always been with some cheap green tea bitch. Before she could finish speaking, Zhang Xiu picked up the still hot egg and seaweed soup and splashed it over. Long Yingqing's attention was all on Cheng Lingran. She was caught off guard and was splashed in the face by the soup. She was completely stunned. Whoosh! Everyone on the sidelines cried out involuntarily. Oh my God! He actually splashed Long Yingqing. Zhang Xiu's dormitory mates were all stunned. Damn, spiritual cultivation, you're causing trouble. You really have the heart to do it. Chapter 225. Long Yingqing was stunned. There were seaweed and egg blossoms on her snow-white face, and the soup was dripping down her pretty face. She blinked her beautiful big eyes in disbelief, and her mouth was wide open. She couldn't believe that this was the truth, but her face was hot, telling her that it was true. She had really been splashed by someone. Her anger rushed out like a volcano, and she angrily pointed at Zhang Xiu. She glared at the boy in front of her, wishing she could cut him into 1,000 pieces. You! After the uproar, the crowd became silent. Something big had happened. Something big had definitely happened. This blind guy actually splashed Long Yingqing's face. God damn it, this is Long Yingqing, the #1 school beauty of the Capital University. How could you do it? Chang Lingran widened her eyes in shock, and her best friends on the side were all stunned. Dang! Zhang Xiu threw the empty bowl in his hand on the table, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The next time you dare to speak rudely to Cheng Lingran, I won't splash you with warm soup, but boiling water. Long Yingqing, you. Zhang Xiu didn't have any special interest in ice beauties. In his opinion, a girl's appearance was important, but her personality was more important. Moreover, this girl had offended Cheng Lingran. This was something he would never allow. You what? Do you want me to splash you again? Long Yingqing was furious. So you found another flower protector. Cheng Lingran, you're really scheming. First, You seduced Tang Miao, then you seduced my brother, and now you've caught this idiot. A voice came from the entrance of the cafeteria. Who's not afraid of death dares to bully Ying Qing? A young man trotted over, only to see that Long Ying Qing's face was covered with seaweed and egg blossoms. She looked very embarrassed. Without guessing, he knew that she had been splashed with soup, and his expression changed drastically. It's this idiot. The young man's eyes were full of murderous intent. He rushed up and was about to fight, but Zhang Xiu had already picked up a plate of shredded pork with garlic sauce on the table and slapped it hard on the young man's head. The spiritual cultivation was steady, accurate, and ruthless. The young man's head was smashed, and he staggered and fell to the ground. Since Zhang Xiu had made a move, he would not stop there. He habitually went up and gave him a good beating. When Zhang Xiu splashed soup on Long Ying Qing, Cheng Lingran had already realized that things were going to get out of hand. Now that things had gotten out of hand, she could only let him be. However, she was a little worried about Zhang Xiu, afraid that he would suffer. Sure enough, that young man was the vanguard, and several other young men rushed in. Zhang Xiu raised his legs and kicked the man down. He pulled Cheng Lingran and ran away. After all, this was a school. After beating someone up, it was best to leave the scene as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be big trouble. The two of them escaped from the restaurant together and ran far away in one breath. I can't run anymore. Hurry up and stop. Don't tell me you want to take me to the end of the world. Zhang Xiu saw that Cheng Lingran was out of breath and clutching her chest. When she really couldn't run anymore, he stopped and cursed, "Fuck, you want to bully me with numbers? You." Cheng Lingran helplessly said, "Beating people up is painful, but after beating them up, it's troublesome. This matter could have been handled better." Zhang Xiu said, "I'll take responsibility for my own actions. I was the one who beat them up. It has nothing to do with you." Cheng Lingran unhappily rolled her eyes at him and said, "Do you think I'm willing to go through thick and thin with you? How can I get away with it?" It sounded like she was complaining, but she didn't look angry at all. Instead, she had a smile on her face. At this moment, Cheng Lingran remembered that when they were young, it was Zhang Xiu who beat them up. She and her sister were cheering them on from the side. At that time, Zhang Xiu also went all out for the two little beauties, showing the spirit of a young man. Zhang Xiu said, "If we weren't in school, I definitely wouldn't let them have a good time. They dared to scold you, absolutely not." Cheng Lingran whispered, "I won't let myself be taken advantage of." Zhang Xiu said, "I won't let you be taken advantage of either." Cheng Lingran's heart was warm and comfortable. Zhang Xiu's words moved her very much. Her long black eyelashes fluttered, and she whispered, "Thank you." At this time, it was lunchtime. They ran to the science park again, but there was no one there. The two of them sat down on the grass. The grass in the capital was very clean. Many students liked to sit on the grass in the afternoon to read and play the guitar. Cheng Lingran was really tired from running. Girls' physical fitness was not good. Moreover, Cheng Lingran was prone to hypoglycemia. She hadn't eaten just now, so she leaned on Zhang Xiu's back. Zhang Xiu said, "Why did that girl come looking for trouble with you?" Cheng Lingran turned her face. "I know a little, but I don't know the details. Maybe it's because of the campus belle selection. Someone said that she found someone to cheat her votes. In addition, her brother often comes to pester me, and because of this, I don't get along well with his friend. Minor repairs. Am I very annoying?" Zhang Xiu shook his head. Since ancient times, beautiful women were the spoils of war in the eyes of many powerful people. The more beautiful a woman was, the more fiercely they fought over her. This was natural, and women couldn't control themselves. At Qianqing School, there was a peerless beauty. When Zhang Xiu met her, she was still a pink and tender little cutie. The person she loved was too weak, but the strong man who coveted her was too strong to be shaken. She was also a person with a temperament. In the end, this peerless beauty personally used a dagger to disfigure her own face, destroying her stunning appearance. When the strong man saw that her face was ruined, he felt pity in his heart and lost interest in her. In this way, that beauty could be with the person she loved. Originally, she thought that the two of them could be together forever. However, one day, she discovered that the person she loved secretly had a tryst with someone else, betraying her. She didn't dare to believe it, but the truth was right in front of her eyes. Why? That man was speechless. That woman looked at the beautiful face of the person her beloved was having a tryst with and suddenly understood. The person she loved also coveted her peerless beauty, but she had already lost her beauty. What could she use to retain the heart of her beloved man? In the end, she let that man leave. This was an extremely ironic story, but it happened right beside Jiang Xiu. From then on, her temperament changed greatly. Because of the hatred and obsession in her heart, her cultivation advanced by leaps and bounds, and she finally became an immortal king. This person was the famous ruler of the White Lunar region, New Year. Jiang Xiu said, "I understand, and I also understand." Cheng Lingran looked at Jiang Xiu in astonishment. "Don't you think I'm a bad woman?" Jiang Xiu laughed involuntarily. "If you're a bad woman, then there wouldn't be any good women in this world." His gaze fell on Cheng Lingran's beautiful face, and he discovered that her eyes revealed a trace of helplessness. Cheng Lingran said, "Actually, I'd rather look ordinary. I don't want to cause trouble." Jiang Xiu said, "If you look ordinary, you'll look at those beautiful school beauties and think that it would be great if I was as beautiful as them." This was human nature. Cheng Lingran was about to refute when her phone rang. Taking out her phone, she saw that it was an unsaved number. After hesitating for a moment, she picked it up. "Hello?" An unfamiliar voice sounded from the other end. "Cheng Lingran, where are you? Who is that boy to you? He actually splashed Ying Qing and even hit her." Cheng Lingran said, "It's Long Ying Qing who humiliated me first." The voice on the other end of the phone said, "Anyway, this matter has to be solved. My sister, whoever offends her will not have a good ending. No matter what relationship that boy has with you, if you let him come to the gymnasium, he will definitely be beaten." Cheng Lingran still wanted to say something, but Jiang Xiu reached out and grabbed the phone. "Gymnasium, right? 1:30, be there on time." Hearing Jiang Xiu's voice on the other end of the phone, the voice pondered for a moment and said, "Okay." Immediately, he didn't talk nonsense with Jiang Xiu and directly hung up. Cheng Lingran said worriedly, "How can you agree with him? They are all children of rich families, and they do things recklessly. It's too dangerous for you to go." Jiang Xiu, "Trust me, it'll be fine. Isn't it just a fight? I've been fighting a lot since I was a child." Cheng Lingran gritted her teeth and said with a serious face, "Then let's fight together. I'll go with you later. If they really dare to do anything to you, we'll fight with them." Jiang Xiu said, "Okay, let's fight. Before that, let's go eat first. Otherwise, we won't have the strength to fight later. You're still in the mood to joke." Chapter 226. They couldn't go to the cafeteria anymore, so Jiang Xiu brought Cheng Lingran out of the school. There was no lack of restaurants in front of the university, almost the entire street was filled with them. The two of them randomly chose a place. After Cheng Lingran sat down, she allowed Jiang Xiu to order the dishes. Jiang Xiu ordered the dishes that she liked, but she was thinking about how Long Tingwei would deal with this matter. Cheng Lingran naturally understood Long Tingwei's intentions towards her. She also knew how to use her own advantages. She guessed that if Long Tingwei wanted to pursue her, he wouldn't be ruthless towards Jiang Xiu. If she hated him, then his chances of success would be lower. The biggest problem right now was still Long Ying Qing. She had zero interactions with this ice beauty. She was beautiful and had a strong family background, so no one dared to provoke her. She also hadn't heard of her bad reputation. However, from Long Tingwei's tone, this ice beauty seemed to be quite unruly. Jiang Xiu said, "The dishes are here, let's eat quickly." Cheng Lingran said, "Wow, you ordered so much. It's just the two of us, can we finish it? Don't order so much next time, it's a waste. After the Chung clan went bankrupt, Cheng Lingran also lived a hard life. It seemed that she also understood the meaning of frugality. Zhang Xiu laughed and said, "We can finish it, I'm here." In the immortal martial continent, eating was purely to satisfy one's desire to eat. It was also for enjoyment. Eating was unable to replenish the calories consumed by their bodies. What they ate were fasting pills or other pills. Zhang Xiu's current appetite was a bit shocking, and there were no pills to eat, so he could only eat freely. Cheng Lingran picked up a piece of meat for Zhang Xiu and said, "Wait, obediently listen to my commands." Zhang Xiu said, "Listen to your commands?" Cheng Lingran nodded seriously and said, "Yeah, I've thought about it. They probably won't go too far. At most, they'll beat you up to vent their anger. If it's really serious, I'll wait on you in bed." Zhang Xiu said, "I don't object to you serving me in front of and behind the bed, but I don't think it will be that serious." Cheng Lingran said, "Long Ting Wei should be fine. The main thing is his sister. I'm afraid she's not easy to deal with. I know a woman's mind better than you do, so it's not wrong to listen to my instructions. When the time comes, watch my eyes." Zhang Xiu smiled and said, "Sure." In the afternoon, Zhang Xiu and Cheng Lingran arrived at the stadium on time. They pushed the door open and entered. The other party had a large number of people. There were 30 to 40 people. Oh my God, if it was someone else, they would be scared stiff. Long Yingqing, who had changed into a blue sportswear, stood at the front of the crowd. Under the support of a group of fierce men, her posture really did have the style of a big sister. Coupled with her peerless beauty, she really had a moving style. "They're here." Long Yingqing looked at Zhang Xiu and Cheng Lingran with a playful expression on her face. "You're very punctual." Zhang Xiu said, "I'll do as I say." Behind her stood an extraordinary man in a white suit. It was Long Ting Wei. His eyes swept over Zhang Xiu and a trace of disdain flashed across his eyes. Then, his gaze landed on Cheng Lingran's face and he said, "Lingran, I tried my best." Cheng Lingran said, "Thank you." The person who invited them here was Long Ting Wei, but now he was standing behind Long Yingqing. This was very abnormal. There was only one possibility. Originally, Long Ting Wei wanted to mediate, but he was refuted by Long Yingqing. This also meant that Long Yingqing's status in the family might be higher than Long Ting Wei's. Rich and powerful families were never judged by age, but by ability and influence. Cheng Lingran held Zhang Xiu's hand nervously, her face full of worry. What they had discussed before was completely useless. Long Ting Wei couldn't help at all. Minor repairs. This is troublesome. From the current situation, it seemed that Long Yingqing was going to be ruthless. "It's fine." Zhang Xiu smiled faintly, then turned to Long Yingqing and said, "What do you want?" Long Yingqing said, "I want you to come in vertically and go out horizontally." "Close the door." With a bang, the gymnasium's door was slammed shut. A huge echo echoed in the enclosed gymnasium. Zhang Xiu said, "What, you want to bully me with numbers?" A young man stood out from behind her. He was 1.9 meters tall and was half a head taller than Zhang Xiu. His gaze was sharp and his every move was clean and neat. One look and one could tell that he had extraordinary skills. Long Yingqing said, "I won't be as tasteless as you. You can even lay your hands on a woman." One by one. Zhang Xiu smiled and shook his head. "It's really open and aboveboard. It doesn't matter if you don't plan to fight in groups or take turns. It's the same anyway." Humph. Long Yingqing actually took off her cyan sportswear jacket and handed it over to the large youth beside her, revealing a white sportswear. Long Ting Wei, who was at the side, explained, "Yingqing stayed in North Korea for 3 years and learned Taekwondo for 3 years. She learned it from a real Taekwondo master. Although I haven't tasted it, it's definitely not weak." He was very confident in Long Yingqing. She was a person who learned everything better than the average person, including swimming, riding, fencing, and so on. Her genes were so good that it made people envious. Zhang Xiu said, "Are you sure you want to fight me?" He really couldn't tell that this little girl had practiced. No wonder her temperament and eyes were so sharp. However, she really paid attention to her image. When he splashed her, she actually resisted the urge to hit him in public. It was true that one's appearance was born from one's heart. The colder a person's appearance was, the calmer they were. Long Yingqing said, "What, are you afraid?" Zhang Xiu couldn't help but laugh, contempt flashing in his eyes. Long Yingqing saw this and said indifferently, "My strength is equivalent to a fifth stage. Although I can't compare to a true expert, for someone like you, I can easily beat 10 of you." Zhang Xiu said, "Boasting, anyone can boast." Long Yingqing said, "Bring it out." A boy pinched his nose and carried a wooden bucket over. From afar, everyone could smell a stench. Cheng Lingran also pinched her nose. There was no need to say what was inside. This ice beauty actually had such a low level of bad taste. Only she said without changing her expression, "Don't you like to splash soup on people? 1 round to determine victory and defeat. Whoever loses will have their face splashed." Zhang Xiu said with a smile that was not a smile, "Are you sure?" "What? Are you afraid?" Long Yingqing said, "If you're afraid, you don't have to fight with me. This bucket, you won't be able to escape." Zhang Xiu said, "I'm afraid you'll cry later." Stubborn mouth. Long Yingqing shouted angrily. Ha! Her aura instantly came out. Taekwondo was very imposing, so she had to shout before making a move to strengthen her aura. However, for a great beauty like Long Yingqing to shout, it had a different flavor. She assumed the standard posture of Taekwondo and threw a standard roundhouse kick in the air. It was really fierce. Although this little girl's face was cold, she had a lot of thoughts. She was deliberately trying to scare Zhang Xiu. Fancy fists and impractical legs. Long Yingqing's face became cold. "You're courting death." She suddenly turned sideways and approached Zhang Xiu. Her explosive power and speed were both very shocking. Compared to ordinary people, she was really very fierce. The black belt was not for nothing. Her kick was enough to send people flying 3 to 4 meters away. What a pity. She found the wrong opponent today. Zhang Xiu easily kicked out and just happened to imprint on the back of her foot. Then, with a gotcha sound, Long Yingqing's fierce face twisted in pain. She let out a scream and her entire body fell out. Finished? Everyone present thought that Zhang Xiu would be beaten up. They never thought that after one kick, Long Yingqing would be beaten down. She fell to the ground and hugged her foot in pain. Her face was pale from the pain and she broke out in a cold sweat. Cheng Lingran shouted in surprise, "We won!" F***CK, this result was really shocking. Tisk. Zhang Xiu's mouth made a strange sound. "Can you still fight?" "If you can't fight, then this bucket." Long Yingqing's beautiful face suddenly lost her voice. She tried hard to stand up, but as soon as her foot stepped on the ground, her lips trembled in pain. No, it was so painful that she couldn't stand up at all. "You can't stand up?" Long Yingqing's beautiful eyes were round and round. She wanted to cut Zhang Xiu into pieces, but in her heart, she was complaining. She had dug a hole for herself. In order to take revenge on Zhang Xiu for splashing soup on her face, she had thought of many ways, but no matter how she thought about it, she felt that it was not enough to vent her hatred. It was only when her roommates accidentally mentioned it that she felt disgusted when she heard it, so she adopted it. But who knew? You admit defeat. Chapter 227. Long Yingqing's face was pale as she hugged her feet in pain. However, what was even more unbearable than this pain was what she had to face next. Just thinking about it made her heart collapse. Even rough men couldn't stand this kind of thing, let alone such a beautiful young lady. As for the people behind Long Ying-ching, they were all stunned by Zhang Xiu's kick. They were all martial artists and knew the strength of a black belt taekwondo. They were actually defeated by him in one move. The way they looked at Zhang Xiu changed. He had some skills. Long Tingwei frowned and ran over to check on his sister's injuries. Seeing that his sister was about to cry from the pain, he angrily shouted at Zhang Xiu, "We're all classmates. How could you be so heavy-handed?" Zhang Xiu said, "Not to mention, she was the one who initiated this duel, and that bucket of things. With just the strength of a black belt, what do you think will happen if she kicks an ordinary person? Should I just stand there and let her kick me?" Long Tingwei knew that he was in the wrong and his expression was very awkward. Long Yingqing's roundhouse kick could break 7 or 8 planks. One could imagine the consequences of kicking a person's body. If it was kicked in the head, it would be even more unimaginable. Seeing that he was speechless, Zhang Xiu said to Long Yingqing, "Long what? According to our agreement, then." Without waiting for her to finish speaking, Long Yingqing's face turned completely green. Her heart was about to collapse. "You injured me and even wanted to splash that thing on me." "Dream on," Zhang Xiu said. "So, you want to go back on your word?" "So what if I go back on my word?" Long Yingqing would rather break her promise than let that thing splash on her. That was simply impossible to live. "What are you all still standing there for? Beat him up!" The dozens of strong men behind her were not just for show. Hearing the young lady's orders, they roared in unison and rushed towards Zhang Xiu like a tide. Cheng Lingren's expression changed greatly as she shouted, "Minor repairs, run." But she suddenly remembered that the door to the stadium was closed. Long Yingqing had already prevented them from escaping. Zhang Xiu said softly, "Stand behind me." Cheng Lingran had her inner core, so ordinary people couldn't hurt her at all. Zhang Xiu was so worried that he forgot about this. He looked at the burly man who was about 1.9 meters tall and threw a punch at Zhang Xiu's throat. Before the punch landed, the wind from the punch was already blowing towards Zhang Xiu's face. It was obvious that the speed and strength of the punch were not weak. With a pull from Zhang Xiu, the man flew out from the side and slid several meters on the floor of the gymnasium. Flop. The second brawny man sent a kick over. Flop. The third one. Flop. The crowd that surged towards Zhang Xiu like a tidal wave split to the left and right. Zhang Xiu stood in the middle, his feet not moving at all. It was as if those people had been sent flying by themselves. Violent crashing sounds, accompanied by endless screams, rang out, each one more miserable than the last. In less than half a minute, more than 30 people were all beaten to the ground by Zhang Xiu. No one was able to get up, and they were all howling in pain. Dumbfounded, completely dumbfounded. Long Yingqing's eyes were about to pop out. My God, this brat was too good at fighting. She didn't know that Zhang Xiu was trying his best to control himself. Don't be so ruthless. Don't be so scary. This was a school. After being stunned for a while, Long Yingqing suddenly realized something. She stood up with all her might and ran outside with one leg. Not to mention her leg was injured, she would run even if she lost a leg. She ran towards the gate on 3 tiptoes and was about to shout for help. She had really kicked a steel plate this time. But something happened that made her want to cry, but no tears came out. The gate was locked. Fuck, she was the one who had asked people to lock it and even told them to remove the key. All of this was to prevent Zhang Xiu from running away. Now, she had screwed herself over again. Zhang Xiu's voice came from behind her. Long what? What about now? Long Yingqing turned around. Her expression was as wonderful as it could be. She said, "Classmate, we are all from the same school. Why do you have to be so ruthless? How about we end today's matter here?" Zhang Xiu's eyes turned cold. "If I was beaten to the ground by your people and told you to stop here, would you agree?" Long Yingqing's personality was cold and her eyes were above her head. She never put people in her eyes. When had she ever given in to anyone? Today, for the first time, She had lowered her voice, and this bastard was still unwilling to forgive her. I will. I was just joking with you. Looking at the bucket of things, Long Ying-ching didn't dare to imagine what kind of tragic scene it would be to be splashed in the face by that thing. Classmate, let's just let it go, okay? That beautiful face was pale from the pain. She was still trying her best to flatter him. Unfortunately, she was used to being cold, and that flattering look looked very funny. It felt like she was trying to act cute and coquettish. In order to avoid this calamity, she was going all out. Her image was nothing more than floating clouds. Zhang Xiu said, "Do you think that's possible? There's nothing bad about being splashed by this thing. I heard that it can even help you lose weight." Long Ying-ching was surprised. "How can you lose weight?" Zhang Xiu said, "After being splashed by this thing, I guarantee that I won't be able to eat anything at all. I'll vomit when I see food, especially green. When I see it, I'll think of that smell and my stomach will churn. I won't be able to eat anything, so of course I can lose weight." Long Ying-ching's gaze gradually became sluggish. "Can we just let it go like this?" This voice was completely begging. Zhang Xiu shook his head at her. "Zhang, don't go too far. Do you know who I am?" If the soft method didn't work, he would continue to use force. "If you dare to do this, my Long family will definitely not forgive you." Zhang Xiu chuckled. Suddenly, Long Ying-ching reached out and opened the door. It turned out that she had been leaning on the door for so long to open it, but in the blink of an eye, just as Long Ying-ching was about to open the door and escape, she heard a bang and the bucket flew towards her. Under everyone's stupefied gazes, that bucket of stuff drew a beautiful arc in the air. Of course, it was inevitable that some greenish-yellow stuff would spill out. Looking at the bucket flying towards her, at this moment, the Ice Beauty's heart completely collapsed. However, it was too sudden. With a clang, the wooden bucket accurately hit her head, and the green and yellow things inside all poured out. Ah! What a tragedy! At this moment, the shadow in Long Ying-ching's heart could be seen. Miss Ying-ching. Those who had been knocked to the ground, as well as Long Tingwei, stared at her with their mouths agape. This was simply too much. They saw her standing there motionlessly. Her entire body was stiff as if someone had pressed her acupoints. It's over. The school bell's life was over. Unfortunately, none of these servants went up to help. Within a radius of 10 meters, no humans or animals could be found. You go over. You go over. Not a single person went over to save her. If Long Ying-ching had a dagger in her hand, she would definitely stab herself in the heart and die. In the end, she took the wooden bucket off her head herself. She probably couldn't take it anymore. Her head was a lump, her face was all over, and her body. Her expression was no longer as cold as a snowy mountain, but as if she had nothing to live for. The corners of her mouth were twitching as she turned around and walked out. There was a river not far away, but if you went down, the river would be destroyed. Ying-ching. Everyone wanted to chase after her, but the ground at the entrance was also heavily damaged. They could only go to the other exit. After leaving the stadium and rushing towards the river, they heard a splash. Long Ying-ching had jumped into the river. "Quick, go get the shampoo and shower gel for Miss." Zhang Xiu added from the side, "It's useless, you can't wash it clean." Long Ying-ching was stabbed again. Zhang Xiu said, "The #1 school bell of Imperial Capital University, now that you've been drenched by that, I don't know how many people will still think that you're the school bell. Will those otakus think that your white flesh stinks?" Long Ying-ching buried her head in the water and rubbed herself hard. Zhang Xiu sneered. "Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. Do you think that you can humiliate others wantonly just because you're a little beautiful? Now, let's see how you'll humiliate. Alright, did you meet anyone when you ran out just now? Did anyone take a photo of you? What if someone took a photo and posted it on the campus forum?" Next, without Zhang Xiu saying anything, Long Ying-ching also understood that her reputation was completely ruined. At this moment, No matter how cold and arrogant Long Ing-ching was, she couldn't help but cry. Since she was 3 years old, Long Ing-ching had never cried. Today, she was forced to cry by Jiang Xiu. Surnamed Jiang. In her life, Long Ing-ching had never hated a person so much. She wanted to eat his flesh and drink his blood. I'm not done with you. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.